Welcome into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios. Landon Schmidt producing. We're Sports Time. We're with you for the next 3 hours on this Friday afternoon, and plenty to get into. A busy weekend in the sports world coming up, but last night, a great night for the Memphis basketball teams, with both the Tigers and the Grizzlies getting wins last night. Obviously, the Grizzlies on their home court, the Tigers down in New Orleans against Tulane. So we'll talk a ton about both of those games, what happened in both. But Brett, how are you this afternoon?
Brian, I'm doing well, and I had every intention last night of getting to FedEx Forum, right?
Oh, yes. We talked during the show. We talked after the show. You were heading to FedEx Forum. This is news to me. Did you not go?
Didn't get to 7-0.
Whoa.
Didn't get to 6-1. Didn't get to the building.
Whoa.
The deluge hit, and I thought,
Wow.
no umbrella, no rain gear.
Wow.
I thought, boy, I'm going to get soaked if I go.
Made a business decision.
So brought it on in and kept up with both, and
Wow.
avidly kept up with both, but intended to go and miss the game of the year.
Wow, you sure did. And Landon,
No doubt.
We're getting everything set up for the show, having our pre-show meeting, and Landon looks over to me and goes, Brett improved to 7-0 last night.
I was singing your praises, man.
Thank you, Landon. Big missed opportunity.
Wow.
Man, that's
You know, I was a
news.
little scared to go yesterday, trying to finesse my record.
Sure, yeah.
And then as it worked out, would have had the win of the year.
Wow.
And at the same time, in Tiger Bankroll, Bryant,
Man.
we had a big tug-of-war all year, me and you
Yep.
and Darian and Connor. We had been in a battle. Nobody could really take an advantage. The last two times out, I had the big pull.
That's right. Yeah, you took out a house loan last night to throw on the Tigers.
I think the
got
largest Tiger Bankroll wager ever,
gotta be.
305. Do you ever remember one bigger?
I don't. I mean, there could have been one of those last games of the season. Just throw
when
everything
everybody
on
just-
there. But
yeah,
just a
empties
regular
the barrel.
season game, everything's in play. I would say that's got to be the biggest.
All right, I said yesterday 95-70. Well, they didn't win by 25.
No.
But they got there comfortably.
They got
and
there
they-
comfortably,
And
yes.
they sure covered the point spread.
Mm-hmm.
And I think took a step toward exercising the whole Tulane thing.
Oh, yeah. No, the Tulane thing, hopefully, is behind. At times last night, you're going, ooh, maybe there's more to the Tulane thing than we originally thought. But no, it was just one of those games. Tigers not making shots, missing a lot of opportunities. But then at the end of the game, late when it counted, when it mattered the most, guys stepped up. Colby Rogers really stepped up after having a really poor shooting night for a lot of the game. I mean, three-fourths of the game, he was nothing. And then, in that final 10 minutes, really jumped out there and gave Memphis incredible minutes.
Shooter shoots.
Yeah, and so you got to have that confidence. You got to keep shooting, and that's exactly what he did. And so, yeah, it ended up being a comfortable win. But I'll be honest, Brett, it never felt like, the Tigers are going to lose this game. But I was sitting there going, man, maybe the Tulane magic in that building, there might be something to it. Maybe this is a little more voodoo than I thought.
And ever so close for a long time around the point spread.
Yeah.
But the Tigers got there, improving to 17-4. I did a quick count. I don't think I'm off much.
Okay.
The teams with less wins than Memphis, that would be 3 or less.
Sure.
I think we're now at 12. So that is really dwindling. And the weekend ahead, and the Tigers at Rice should win.
Yeah.
I think should win comfortably. Don't start a Rice thing. But you sure don't want that to happen. By Monday, that could be single digits around the country with less losses than Memphis. 17-4, 7-1 in the league, and after last night, now 11-10 for the Tigers against the point spread. Now, we did have our group locked last night.
Yeah.
And that's only the second one of the year. We got there with the Tigers. The only other group lock of the year was the Tigers against Mississippi State.
That's right. That did not go in our favor.
So the Tigers get there last night, and the last two times out, 405 I've won. I'm at 1,600,
Brett, you're turning into a heavy hitter. I mean,
60% return on investment.
Yeah, that is.
What What financial guy out there can tout that since November 4th?
Not many. I mean, you might be might be in a league of your own. Okay, so
that's casino.
Yes, that is the heavy hitters down in Vegas, the guys that we talk about on Thursdays with Doug Kazarian. You're in that
Speaking
company.
of Doug.
Oh, another
he
great
did
one.
It again.
Another great one. I mean, but I'll be honest. I don't put a lot of money on anything. We put more money than usual on that one last night, and so we were paying close attention.
He only had 2 attempts.
Only 2 attempts, didn't make a single one. I mean, it cruised to a victory. So another really good one for Doug.
How long do we ride Denny Avida?
I don't know.
Under 3.
I mean, we might just keep going to that well every single time out. So, what was your number of teams with less losses? Because I have the number now, the official, we know for a fact number.
I think 12.
14 is what I have.
Okay, then something's wrong.
I have Auburn, Duke, Florida, Michigan State, Utah State, Drake, Houston, Iowa State, Alabama, Marquette, St. John's, St. Mary's, UC Irvine, and Marist.
Wow, I know I didn't have Marist.
Yeah, Marist.
And I don't know that I had Utah State.
Yeah, those two are those two could easily slip away from you, especially Marist. If you had asked me 2 minutes ago if Marist had less losses than Memphis, I would have said absolutely not. Had no idea Marist.
Well, I had the number wrong all week because I don't think I had Marist in there all week. What is Marist net? I can't find them anywhere.
Marist, I know on KenPom they're
205.
Yeah, they're playing nobody. They're beating up on everybody, but they're not playing.
See, I didn't go down that far. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, dear listener. I let you down so badly.
Oh, don't apologize to the listeners. Apologize to Marist. I mean, that's who really
and
deserves
to
your
Marist. I'm
apologies.
sorry.
Yeah,
please accept my apology, Marist. 205 net, 15-3. That's less than 4, isn't it?
In the net and only 3 losses on the season. That's crazy.
I'm a little irritated at myself why I didn't have Utah State. Where are they in the net? They're not bad, are they?
They're not bad at all. They've got to be a decent net, I would think. I don't know what they. Let's see. Let's see if I can find them.
I see them now, 32. I think I had them in there, but anyway,
that's
still a small number.
It's not a big number at all. Out of the 360 whatever teams that are playing, only 14.
364.
I mean, that's crazy. That's a really good number.
And it will dwindle this weekend.
It will. It absolutely will. And so the Tigers in a really good spot right now. They're playing really well, and it feels like they're figuring things out. You know, some of those little issues we talked about, it feels like, turnovers I know have been a talking point for a while, and it feels like over these last 2 games, since Penny Hardaway said we're going to change some things when it comes to turnovers, Tigers have been much better in terms of turning the ball over.
Sure can live with that number last night. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how anybody would want to pick at the Tigers' roster, depth issues, the number of people they play with, all these stoppages in college basketball.
Yeah.
And it will even be more pronounced at tournaments, at AAC tournament and at the NCAA tournament. It's got a lot of breaks. Yeah. These guys don't need that much time to recover and rest.
Right.
Now, foul trouble or injury,
sure.
I mean, you can't control that, but just out there blowing and going, I don't see how these guys are that tired. And before anybody, local, national, whatever, starts cracking on the league, well, this is the league the Tigers were going to play in back on opening night. This was the league the Tigers were going to play in opening night of conference play against FAU.
That's right.
This is the same league that has flummoxed the Tigers in the Penny Hardaway years. He's never won this league. And he is now the heavy favorite to win this league this year. And this is the same league that caused all the problems last year.
That's right.
This year it is not causing problems. I still say not even close to a biggie, that loss on the road at Temple.
No, and certainly have an opportunity here in about a week or so to get revenge on that loss when Temple comes to FedEx Forum. So that could, you could make that even and get that behind you. And
the Tigers could lose at UAB.
Sure, they definitely could.
They want their big revenge.
Of course,
bring it on.
Yeah, why not?
I don't know that we can accept any more after that though.
Right.
Conference certainly not at home.
No.
And not at Texas San Antonio.
No. I mean,
and not Sunday at Rice.
No, certainly don't want to
at
lose.
Wichita State.
Yeah,
what do you think?
I mean, that could certainly be a tricky one. And
sure don't want it. But
no. if it happened, okay, I guess it wouldn't be the end of the world.
That's right.
Be a quad 3 loss, but I think that's one you can live with. I mean, you assume that gym, that when it's rocking, it's pretty good. You got to imagine it'll probably be pretty close to rocking when the Tigers are there.
Here's my, and I may save it for crunch time too.
Okay.
Here's my quibble of the day for the AAC.
Quibble of the day for that. Can this be like a new segment? Quibble of the day for the AAC.
Sadly, you could almost find one
really
for
could.
This hokey league.
That's right.
All the teams are invited to the tournament. Did you realize that?
Yes, absolutely.
Did you realize 12 versus 13, the first day of the tournament, it isn't at Dickey's Arena. It's at the Super Pit in Denton.
Really?
Standalone. How many people you think truly will be under that roof?
Well, Brett,
90?
Seeing as we talk, it feels like every year with this tournament down at Dickey's about the lack of people in attendance.
Or at least at Dickey's, well, I guess you would have conference officials in Denton as well.
Sure.
But how bad is that?
I did not know that. That's crazy.
Was the rent too high for one more day at Dickey's?
So is that game the only game of the day? I mean, what?
It's the only game.
Huh.
12 versus 13, then you'll have a 12-team bracket.
Yeah.
After that is decided, and then all that swings to Dickey's Arena the rest of the way. And if Memphis Tourism gets the tournament here next year, which I still can't believe why they want it. Do they not remember how poor the crowds have been in the past, including with UConn in the league? But whatever. Mm-hmm. Would there be an off-site? Oh man, where would that be played?
I don't know. I have no idea.
El Marone?
I was about to say maybe El Marone. I don't know. I don't know. The only thing maybe is the women's American basketball tournament goes from March 9th to March 12th, and the men's goes from March 13th to March 16th. So maybe because the women are playing on that day?
Building occupancy,
maybe
so.
I pulled it up because I was just hoping.
But that's still bad anyway.
That's
Squeeze
horrible.
it in somewhere that day.
If it's your own conference playing there, add a men's game somewhere in there.
Can we borrow 3 hours for the building?
Right. I mean, you can literally set. That's not like something else preoccupied. I was really hoping, because I pulled up their website, I was really hoping that there was like a concert or a rodeo or something that night that was taking up the room instead. But no, I don't. That's weird. That's crazy.
And again, a year from now, if Memphis indeed hosts, and all indications that they are, and they really want it, I do not know why.
No.
But okay, I wish it well. I know how, unless Memphis, even if Memphis goes deep in the tournament, how many people will be there? Will it be a 12 and 13 game played somewhere else, and then everything else at FedEx Forum?
It's crazy. I pray not. I mean, I don't know. Again, where would you put it? El Marone? I don't know where you would go, but that is insane. I did not know that. That is news to me, and I really don't know what to make of it, because that's insane.
West Memphis High's got a great building, and they do. They have a great basketball.
Maybe you play there. I don't know. That's just.
I wouldn't begin to know where you put it.
That is crazy. But a good win for the Tigers last night. 68-56 final score. Another game. Dane Danger in the starting lineup. Really good game from him. Again, 19 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists. We talked about Colby Rogers. Really cold to start the game. Did not hit his first shot until 10 minutes left in the game. But after that, knocks down 4 threes.
It unlocked him.
It really did, and that was huge for the Tigers, because when he knocked down that 3 with about 10 minutes left, it was a very tight game, back and forth game. Once he hit that first shot, it was on from there, and he ended up with 15 or 14 points. He was huge at the end. And then P.J. Carter, what he did off the bench, we've kind of talked about him and maybe getting some confidence after these last couple of games. He was massive for the Tigers off the bench.
Did you notice Ron Hunter last night? And did you notice him lighting up Brumbaugh?
I thought you were going to say, did I notice him on the court the entire game?
Well, that was ridiculous.
Standing at the free throw line, it felt like sometimes.
Yeah. He was like the hype guy.
There was one time where Memphis got a steal, and they talked on the broadcast about how he had to sprint off to the sidelines because he would have been in the way of the fast break. Yeah, no, he was getting into Brumball, and Brumball had a good game.
And you could tell Brumball was talking back to him.
Yeah.
I'll support him
Sure.
You could tell he was telling him, "You be quiet and let me talk."
Yeah, for sure. And Brumball has been really good for them. And
is that the George? He transferred in from
Georgetown transfer. That's correct. And he's especially since conference play, he's really turned it on. And looked like
he was about all they had.
He was about all they had. He looked like maybe that year at Georgetown and said, "Okay, well I'm ready for this." And Other than that, though, yeah, they really struggled. But Brumball kept them in the game for a lot of that, and I think they were talking about this on the broadcast. I think you could see it, that it felt like Ron Hunter's message to the team before the game started was defensively be physical, play hard, give 120% effort out there. And for most of especially the first half, they did that. And then in the second half, you could see those guys were getting tired on defense. And I think the color commentator even made this this note that, in the first half, really good defensively. Second half, started using their hands a little bit more. You could tell they were getting tired, and Memphis took advantage of that and made them pay, started knocking down shots, and that's what led to the 12-point win.
Memphis on top of the conference, 7-1. They have the tiebreaker over North Texas. North Texas at 2, 7-1. UAB 3, 6-2. Well, it's a big stretch from 1 to 3, isn't it?
Whew, it is.
Temple at 4 at 5-3.
Yeah.
Tulane at 5th at 5-3, and then a host of really bad teams at 4-4, and even worse teams at 3-5. And then Sunday's opponent, Rice, 2-6 in league, and Rice 11-10 overall.
Yeah, it takes a drop at a point, and it takes a deep dive, and so you'll see one of those teams on Sunday against Rice, and hopefully, like you said, there's no
the Tigers
voodoo
could finish
Rice.
17-1.
Oh, they definitely could. I don't think that's out of the question at all. It's a really bad conference, and they
Tack on 3 in Fort Worth.
Yeah. That'd be great. That'd be great. They're going to be favored, and I think individually, all of these games we're going to talk about, they should win these games. Now,
that's
obviously,
a 30-win season.
Losses can happen. Yeah,
that's like the three. How many Kings?
3 or 4. I don't know.
3, 4, 5, 6
something.
Kings.
All the Kings. The whole team were Kings. 15 Kings. But you definitely could be talking about that, and really this team rolling into the NCAA tournament. But we'll talk more about the Tigers later on in the show. Jason Munn's going to join us to talk about what he saw last night in New Orleans. But let me set up today's show before we get to top and not top story of the day. 3:30, Alan Bell from the AB3 and Driving the Line. He'll join us to talk some wagering. We'll start taking a look at the Super Bowl for next weekend, but we'll get some picks for him, college basketball, NBA, get his thoughts on all of that in our next segment. 3:45, we'll talk the Grizzlies and their win last night over Houston. Win of the season, a win they had to have. We talked about it yesterday, some of the guys talking before the game at shoot-around about, it felt like that mindset for them was back against the wall. We have to win this game. They were able to do it last night. We'll talk about that at 3:45. 4 o'clock, Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BamSports.net. He'll join us. We'll talk a little bit of Super Bowl with Bruce Marshall, but we'll definitely get into some NBA and college basketball with Bruce. 4:30, Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas and Fort Smith. He'll join us to talk the Razorbacks and the SEC. A big game for Arkansas tomorrow as John Calipari returns to Lexington to face his old team in Kentucky. I saw yesterday Rick Pitino put out a video of asking the Kentucky fan base to give John Calipari a standing ovation. Highly doubt we see that tomorrow night, but that will get a lot of airtime. His return to Lexington.
Pitino's return. He had on Louisville Cardinal red.
That's right, yes.
That's different than Arkansas Razorback red.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it is very different. And
two Big Blue Nation.
Yes. No, that is mean, that's you walking in the door. You're the biggest enemy ever when you're wearing Louisville gear, especially when you're one of their guys. And so, but we'll see what the reception is, and we'll talk to Ty about this Arkansas team at 4:30. 4:45, we'll get to big number of the day. 5 o'clock, Jason Munns, the Tiger basketball beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal. He'll join us. We'll talk about last night's game against Tulane. We'll also talk about what to expect Sunday against Rice. As always, Jason Munns, brought to you every single week by Jim's Place Grill in Collierville. 5:30, this will be fun. Never too early to start thinking about next football season. We'll get to our way too early college football playoff bracket, 1 through 12 seedings, who advance, our way too early national championship. We'll crown that around 5:30. Then at 5:45, we'll wrap up today's show like we always do with Crunch Time. Let me remind you, we're in our Family Leisure Studios where family and fun come together. The floor model sale, it's going on right now at Family Leisure. All 2024 inventory, it's got to go. Help them make room for 2025. All floor models are up to 50% off. Cold plunge tubs starting at $49.99, and hot tubs now up to $3,000 off with free steps and chemicals. Pool tables, arcades, ping pong tables, air hockey, foosball tables, 20 to 60% off, and theater seating up to 75% off. It's not too early to start thinking about pool season. Buy now and get on the schedule for install before that rush hits. Only at Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40.
Produced by Landon Schmidt, we are Sportstime for this last day of January. Friday, January 31st, 2025. We're with you until 6 o'clock. He's Bryant. I'm Brett. We want you to join us at the Sissy's Log Cabin text and talk line at 901-360-8255. All our guests will join us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line at 901-360-8255. Always from our Family Leisure Studio, and always this hour brought to you by Lexus of Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and online at lexusofmemphis.com. Great offers on all 2025 models, and always special leasing options. Drive in luxury and confidence knowing that every new Lexus comes with complimentary first and second maintenance services. Call them at 901-334-9673, but stop by the only Lexus dealership in Memphis at 2600 Ridgeway and put yourself in the driver's seat of the all-new 2025 flagship LS500, and you'll be driving in style. When you purchase a Lexus, you get top-of-the-line engineering and design, and they make for the safe luxury driving experience. Online at lexusofmemphis.com. Experience amazing at Lexus of Memphis.
Top story of the day.
Well, my top story of the day, it's the Tigers and their win over Tulane. It was an ugly game in terms of most of the time early in the night, the Tigers shooting the ball kind of struggled at times, especially hitting shots from deep in that first half. Really struggled to shoot the ball. They were shooting 44% from the field, but 3 for 11 from 3, and that's really what was keeping Tulane in the game. It knocked down a couple more threes than the Tigers, especially in the second half, knocked down a couple, but that shooting completely left Tulane in the second half, and the Tigers caught fire into the game, 9 for 23 from 3, and a lot of that had to do with Colby Rogers getting hot. He didn't hit his first field goal until about 10 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game, but after that he was red hot. 14 points, 4 for 8 from 3. PJ Carter has been playing his role really well, especially as of late, and last night he gave the Tigers a huge boost off the bench. 14 points for him. Dane Danger, his second game in a row in the starting lineup, another big game for him. He came out early, gave the Tigers their first 2 baskets of the game, ended up finishing with 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists. This was a game where at times in the second half the Tigers trailed, but it never felt like they were going to lose that game. It always felt like they were going to catch fire eventually and go on to win. Not only did they go on and win the game, they covered the spread, a comfortable 12-point lead. I think the thing that a lot of people looked at in last night's game was P.J. Haggerty. Only 8 points, 3 for 11 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3. Dave Woloshin said this morning that P.J. dealing with some illness, was not 100%. Penny Hardaway either said in pregame or postgame that P.J. Haggerty wasn't at the complete shoot-around, was only there for about half the time. The day before, watching film, he had to step out because of his illness, so he was not nearly anywhere near 100%, but still went out there, gave the Tigers some good minutes, but a good win for the Tigers on the road. And I think the biggest thing is now we don't have to keep talking about this 3 losses in a row on the road at Tulane. They finally get that off their back, and another win for them. They keep rolling. We'll see what happens on Sunday against Rice, but you got to imagine the way Rice has been playing, I believe 6 or 7 straight losses for them. Tigers should be a big favorite on the road.
A rare double billing for me with Top Story. It goes to both teams.
Wow, okay.
With Memphis on the front of the jersey. 2-0 last night in New Orleans. Fairly easy. Super Bowl next week in New Orleans. Super Bowl last night on Tulane's campus for the Green Wave. They were heading to the exits early.
Yes, they
Not
were.
the case late at FedEx Forum. Everybody stayed to the last second as it came down to the last second for the Grizzlies to eke out a win over Houston. Both in their own way, big statements made last night by the Memphis Grizzlies and the Memphis Tigers.
Yeah.
Not top story of the day.
Well, my not top story, it's got to go to the Grizzlies and what they were able to do last night against the Rockets. We've talked a lot about it. 0-3 against this Rockets team. Would they be able to pull out a win in their final meeting? And they were able to do that. At times, Rockets went up by 11. Rockets felt like they were in control of the game, but the Grizzlies continued to fight. A massive second half for them where they outscore Houston 36-30 in that third quarter, then 28-23 in the fourth quarter. There was chaos late in the game when the Grizzlies got a steal. Looked like they had a fast break opportunity. After looking at the reviews multiple times, Taylor Jenkins is screaming, "Go, go, go!" For whatever reason, the ref thought he was shouting, "Timeout, timeout, timeout." They call a timeout. And boy, was Taylor Jenkins
He should have been. Lucky he didn't get a technical.
Oh, very lucky. And
over it.
I mean, I can only imagine what was going through Taylor Jenkins' head, especially with that coming against the team that 2 times ago playing this team, he called the timeout while Desmond Bane was hitting a 3-pointer that would have tied the game. So I know why he was mad. I probably, if I was in his shoes, would have gotten a technical, but the assistants were able to keep him under control because you didn't want to tech in that moment. The Grizzlies ended up getting an opportunity. Jaren Jackson gets fouled. He goes to the free throw line, knocks down 2 shots. Jaren was really good last night, 21 points for him, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, but Desmond Bane led the team with 24 points. You got good games from Santi Aldama, Brandon Clark off the bench, so a really good win for the Grizzlies. Now they have a couple days off before they see the the Bucks, the Milwaukee Bucks, on the road Sunday night.
You went old ABA Buccaneers.
Yeah, I don't know if I was going old school or if I was going football. I don't know what I was doing. It's a
My
Friday.
not top story. No movement for the Tigers in the net. And the net loves road wins. We thought it's how bad the AAC is, and the same will occur on Sunday after a road win in Houston. There's nowhere to go for the Tigers right now in the net. You just have to understand that. But they're going to be fine in the bracket. Bracket's human beings. It's not just punching in a bunch of numbers. And human beings should remember the November and December work.
They absolutely should. Saw earlier today Joe Lenardi putting out his latest bracketology. Had Memphis as a 5 seed taking on Drake in their first game. So
another old Missouri Valley game.
That's right. So that would be a fun matchup if that's what we got. But that'll do it for top and not top story of the day. Let's go ahead and get to a break. And when we return, we're talking some wagering with Alan Bell.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises. Just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a mother pheasant plucker, I plug mother pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Five-Ash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Napa Cafe celebrates 26 years in 2024. Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. Treat yourself tonight with a delightful dinner. Maybe start with an appetizer like our baked sweet piquilla peppers stuffed with goat cheese and mozzarella, finish with basil pistou, and move on to one of our cozy dishes like the double chocolate stout braised boneless beef short ribs with tonkatsu sauce and creamy mashed potatoes. Or a fresh seafood dish like our pan-roasted ginger buttered sea bass with cilantro soy vinaigrette. I get hungry just talking about it. Don't forget about dessert, our famous sweet buttermilk pie with brown sugar sauce, or drink your dessert with one of our signature dessert cocktails, like the lemon cheesecake martini, lemony, icy, frothy, and dusted with graham cracker crumbs. Napa Cafe, open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. For reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us as we celebrate 26 years of Napa Cafe. We can't wait to serve you.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? We have it covered at Humdinger. It's quick, it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. Many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdinger, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdinger's offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
Hey everybody, best thing about a new year is getting something new to drive. So I'm out here at Olive Branch at All-Star Chevrolet where all the Silverados are. Get $1,500 in extra savings when you trade in a 2011 or newer passenger car or light duty truck. 1.9 financing on new Blazers or 2.9 with no payments for 90 days on a new Equinox. Yes, you can be payment free until April and your good credit deserves it. If you're law enforcement, first responder, healthcare, military, education, recent grad, you get another $500 off. So let's go, because no one has a certified and pre-owned selection like All-Star Chevy. Silverado, Sierra trucks, Nissans, Toyotas, Fords, Jeeps. I mean, you gotta test drive this red Corvette Stingray. And if you got any vehicle you want to sell, bring it here to All-Star Chevy in Olive Branch and get the most money for it today. Together, let's drive to All-Star Chevy's Fresh Start Sale, going on now in Olive Branch, or go to allstarautogroup.com.
Now, back to Sports Time. This hour is brought to you by Lexus Tires. Here are your hosts, Let's Talk Sports with Brian Davis.
We're back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you in our Family Leisure Studios, and joining us now to talk some wagering, Alan Bell from the AB3 and Driving the Line. He joins us now. Alan, thanks so much for joining us. We've got the Super Bowl finally set. We'll get to all the picks next week, but is there anything that you kind of look at now for this Super Bowl game that you're thinking maybe hop on this sooner rather than later?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first off, appreciate you guys having me back. And second off, let me just tell you this. If you see bets and props that you like, go ahead and do it now because they're not going down. They're only going to go up. And, you know, this is the largest sign-up time for sportsbook, meaning that all kinds of brand-new bettors come out, people that never bet a day in their life. They maybe bet one game a year, right? And what are they going to do? They're going to bet players that they know. Saquon Barkley, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, guys like that. So what I'm saying is don't go crazy putting in a bunch of bets just yet. But if you have some that you like, go ahead and do it. I'll tell you my favorite one. Saquon Barkley, longest rushed over 24.5 yards. I mean, that's just auto bet at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He can break them against anybody. And then Patrick Mahomes, over 4.5, 5.5, and 6.5 rushing attempts. Kind of ladder that thing. But, yeah, that's what I like so far.
Yeah, Chase said all the way because, as we've learned, maybe this should be your personalized license plate on your car. Kneel downs count.
They absolutely do. And when all your running backs keep getting hurt, you're the only one that does it. Yeah, you know,
Alan,
have to run the ball.
That's what you need to roll around Nashville in a big old Cadillac with the personalized license plate. Kneel downs count.
I love it. Metro Police out here be like, who is this?
Who's that guy that just cruised by us at 45 and a 65?
Yeah. Who's this white kid running around here going slow?
That would be great. Alan, so you like the Barkley play. So, and you talked about a lot of people will be signing up, and we know with the sign up you get a lot of inducements, a lot of free bets. There's some people that like to take that free bet in something really safe, like maybe a big college, like Alabama against Mercer, and you just know you're going to win to take the money line, and you get your money. Some like to throw real deep with that. And with that free one and win a lot. What do you like? What would you suggest to people with the free inducement?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. You know what? Have fun. All right, that's what it's about. Like, don't go crazy, but if it's free and you want to enjoy it, man, enjoy it. All right. I'll say this: there's a mixture in between of what you just said. Okay. So I'm not a huge parlay guy, but what I'm saying is this: let's just look at who is scoring touchdowns in this game. Because it ain't ended 0-0 and it ain't ended 3-0, okay? So, Saquon Barkley score a touchdown, probably going to happen. Now, that price is about minus 230, okay? But the only two people that score touchdowns really are Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts. Now, A.J. Brown does as well, and he's a stud for sure. However, if you're looking at guaranteed, well, I don't ever want to use that word, but Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts pretty much scoring touchdowns, buddy. I would take a look there. And if you want to expand it out, go ahead. But those two dudes, yeah. Like, it's even hard to pick on the Chiefs side. But on the Eagles side, it ain't difficult because when they get inside the 5, they don't throw it. They run it 4 times, buddy.
Yeah.
Alan, you've done a lot of Super Bowls, a lot of radio rows. I've done it as well. And yesterday I told Bryant, and it's for a much younger person than me now to do radio row all week. But next week I will miss being in New Orleans. It was my first one at Super Bowl 47. It's easy to get there. It's going to be warm. It's going to be safe, especially after all the craziness on New Year's Eve, and it's going to be festive, and it will probably be better treatment around town for Roger Goodell than he got at 47 because that was fresh off Bounty Gate. I'm not kidding you. He had a Secret Service size detail around him because they knew some Saint fan may want a piece of him.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. You're right. And, it's going to be a party down there. People are going to have themselves a good time, and I hope that they do. And after everything that happened, man, like that city deserves to have a blast. Anybody knows how to throw a party, it's them. You know what I mean?
Who was your favorite Radio Row person you ran into ever?
Yeah, so I'll say this. So Radio Row person, actually, okay, you know who was the funniest and the kindest person that I ran into, and weirdly enough, a couple times? Greg Olson. Before he started doing Fox games, I'm telling you, this guy is a A1 first class human being, and is funny, is nice. Like it was incredible. It was like right when he was like ending his career, like playing, and nobody knew that he was going to kind of go into TV. And I was looking at it, and I was looking at him, and he was hitting every single show.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just
That's
like
pro.
on time. And I was like, oh, this guy's gonna do something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, not calling it, but it was like when he started doing television, people were like, wow, Greg Olson. I said, I'm telling you what, he's going to be phenomenal. I've seen this guy operate. He's like a robot, man. He's cool, man. Super good dude.
When you said funny, I thought you may maybe going to some comedian because I've literally on Radio Row seen Carrot Top on Radio Row.
Carrot Top dude down there. I'm sure he was having a blast.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Now, my player like that, and I think we were in Minneapolis, and it might have even been the day that he was traded at the Super Bowl, but Alex Smith, when he first came over to our table, Alan, I felt terrible. I thought he was the booker for somebody. I mean, he came over and said, hey, would you want 12 minutes with Alex Smith? I said, yeah, I'd love to. And it was him.
Yeah. Well, that was Minneapolis, I believe, wasn't it?
It was at 52, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. I was up there as well. That's funny. And remember, it was like minus 40 degrees outside.
Oh, yeah.
It was crazy cold out there.
Oh, wow. It was for keeps. From where the bus would let us out at Mall of America to getting in the building was about 100 yards. And you had to be dressed right and heavy for that 100-yard walk.
Oh, yeah, you did, buddy. And then you would just start peeling off layers as soon as you walked in that mall. That's funny, man. We probably passed each other 100 times.
Yeah,
and,
we did. And then you get to Radio Row with all the overcoats and the gloves and the heavy coats. And it looked like a clothes bomb had hit Radio Row.
It really did. It looked like Goodwill doing a pickup. It was remember that was the one where the two Houston radio hosts were fighting each other.
Sure did. They were two to my left, and I'm telling you, it was serious punches thrown.
It was serious. In a mall, and then you had kids
I swear, I'm not name dropping, but I was visiting with Stephen A. Smith because he is really good friends with Ron Tillery, and Ron Tillery was the beat writer for the Commercial Appeal for the Commercial Appeal, and we were talking, and kind of the entree to him, I told him, I said, I'm friends with Ron Tillery, and he was just super nice. They start fighting. He said, look at that. Kind of in Stephen A. style, he said, look at that. Fighting at Radio Row.
You know what's funny? Stephen A., some people love him, some people hate him. That dude
I love him.
Works. He works his tail off. Like,
I love him.
He works hours, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like his work ethic is strong. It's real strong. Yeah.
Very strong. Well, Alan, with no football this weekend, is there anything you're looking at in terms of college basketball or the NBA?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. I'm a little worried about the Tennessee Vols now. They're shooting a lot of threes here, and they got a big game against Florida tomorrow. And I don't know. I might be leaning Florida pretty heavy here. I am. I'm concerned about this offense. No, I'm not concerned long term about Tennessee. They'll be fine. Rick Barnes is a good coach, but every team goes through a little bit of a lull, and I think that they're in the middle of one right now. Their three ball is not dropping. I think that Kentucky showed, hey, we're not going to give you any twos. You can shoot 100 threes. We ain't even going to guard you. You know what I mean? And I don't think that that's good because we've all played basketball before, and when you're not hitting and your defender knows it and is letting you shoot open, buddy, usually open threes are good. It ain't good when you ain't got confidence, man. I'm going to roll Florida on this one.
Why won't more teams play more zone and do that to everybody? You sit out there, and we'll let you shoot all day from out there.
All day. You know who's got two good coaches, man, is Kentucky. I like Mark Pope up there, and Pat Kelsey at Louisville.
Yeah.
I don't think he is a player over 6'6".
No.
What he was left with was nothing. And the fact that he's winning a lot of games, dude, basketball in Kentucky's going to be good for a little while, man. They got two good coaches, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, those rivalries for the next couple of years are going to be
Yeah,
intense.
they're real.
Really fun. Anything you're looking at in the NBA?
Well, I'll say this. So I've been riding Klay Thompson threes in terms of his props. Yeah, man, like, this guy's shooting. You want to talk about the opposite of Tennessee. This guy is feeling like he's back in Golden State, man. So I've been riding that over 2.5. Any word on Ja when he's coming back? Like, the Grizz, like, they play good basketball, but, I know that he's had a shoulder and he had an illness. I'm ready for him to come back because I feel like he's going to take off, but, man, it seems like a lot of stuff's piling up on him.
Yeah, I mean, you hope so. I mean, questionable, started off the day questionable yesterday and then moved to doubtful and then out. So I don't know. Hopefully we get an update either today or some point over the weekend about him because you're right. I mean, they could certainly use him, but that was a really good win for them last night over Houston.
Great, dude, a great win. Like, this Memphis team, like, it's solid, man. And the NBA's tough, right? It's a lot of games, a lot of travel, but Memphis is a good basketball team, man. I enjoy watching them a lot.
Yeah, really fun. Well, Alan, as always, thanks so much for joining us. Next week when you join, we'll be getting to all things Super Bowl, so I can't wait for that.
Oh, I can't wait either. We're going to have Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce props. I can't wait, boys. That's
a cavalcade of wagers next Friday.
That's right.
Go.
I'm
Perfect
excited.
word.
Alan, thanks so much. We'll do it again next week.
Look forward to it, boys. Y'all have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thanks,
You too.
Alan.
Thank you.
Alan Bell joining us from the AB3 and Driving the Line, talking all things wagering. Make sure you go over and check out what they're doing over at Driving the Line. Daily shows every morning. They'll get you hooked up with some bets.
Al and I were eyewitnesses to two grown men fighting at Radio Row.
I mean, that is
we couldn't have been far from each other.
No, I mean, he said it. The amount of times y'all had to have crossed paths over that
we
week.
had to have.
Oh, absolutely. And
but Brian, I swear, just as nice and humble as you can be.
Yeah.
Alex, I thought Alex Smith was the booker for Alex
awesome.
Smith.
That's awesome. I mean, hey, sometimes that happens.
Pays to be nice.
It does. It really does. That's awesome. And got to see a fight with it, too, which is always, I guess, an added. That's insane. But, I guess
it really is.
Things get hot and heavy at Radio
I'm glad
Row.
I hadn't done that.
Yeah, no, that's right. Don't do it anytime soon either. Yeah, yours would be SEC media days. Getting out there.
I like everybody
and coming
there.
to blows at SEC media days.
One year at the Egg Bowl, at the height of the Leo Lewis, Mullen, Free stuff, and both sides were giving it as good as they were getting it. There was altercation.
Really?
Down at Starkville, yeah. I thought, man, look,
Good
y'all
Lord.
realize how you look.
Yeah, if you could see yourself right now, you'd be embarrassed. But oh man,
It's like the picture of you. If somebody had a video of when you threw a golf club, you would never throw another because you look like a raving lunatic. And I've done it.
That's great. That's awesome. Well, no, I'm excited for next week when Alan joins us. We'll get to a bunch of Super Bowl plays. He always has props on top of props on top of props for the big game, so we'll get to that next week. Let's go ahead and get to another break, and when we return, we're going to talk more about the Grizzlies, what they did last night in their win over Houston. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Sports 56 and 95 FM.
Moving is stressful, but black diamond
enrolls you into reoccurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
You lowered testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tessenol, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels and help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again. Work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still getting more complimentary bottles for people to try for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text. Text BIKE to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text BIKE to 321-321. That's BIKE to 321-321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
You know, I think people forget there's a Central Barbecue location in South Haven.
And that's on us.
Well, you.
What does that mean?
Well, you're the spokesperson for Central Barbecue. It's your responsibility to remind people there's a Central Barbecue in South Haven.
It's very convenient that I'm the spokesperson when there's responsibility to be taken.
Just mention the Central Barbecue location in South Haven.
I got a lot to remember. There's the location on Butler downtown. There's a location on Summer, on Poplar.
And Getwell Road in South Haven. How hard is that?
I've heard you call yourself a spokesperson for Central Barbecue.
No, it was just to pick up chicks.
Now, Sports Time. Sports 56 This hour is brought to you by Lexus Service. Here are your hosts, Let's Talk Sports with Brian Davis.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. We got to talk about the Grizzlies and their win last night. A 120-119 victory over the Rockets. And nationally televised game, lived up to all of the hype. You look at 3 of the 4 games, the most recent 3 games, have all been super close, fun, entertaining games. And that's exactly what we got last night. But this time, the Grizzlies came out on top. First win of the series in the final game of the series.
That series ended up 3-1 Houston.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been 3-1 Memphis.
Oh, yeah.
Sure could have been 2-2. Houston really had the better of the Grizzlies in one of those 3 wins.
Yep.
The other 2 were narrow. Last night was narrow. It could have been 0-4.
Sure.
Houston could have won last night. And we say it so often. We hear him here. We'll hear him Super Bowl Sunday as we are the radio home of the Super Bowl. Big game, Kevin Harlan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's so good. He's so good. Every time, if you turn on a game and he's on the call, you know you're getting a good one.
When he brings it, on the air, from Memphis downtown at FedEx Forum, you know it's big, and it was. And Brian, I don't know if we were first, but I think it was December when we first said with DeMichael Cole, sign all us up for Houston and Memphis in the playoffs.
Yeah.
That was December, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
And it sure could happen.
Definitely could happen. Yeah, I mean, the way both those teams are rolling right now, I mean, that feels like you got a good chance of that being a second-round game. And, I mean, if you got that and, with the opportunity to, advance to the Western Conference, championship series, I mean, that'd be awesome. And those 2 teams, I mean, it feels like with some of the characters you got, certainly the Rockets, a fun, young team. Grizzlies, kind of that same mold. But also, you've got the background of Dylan Brooks, which I go into every game against Dylan Brooks and go, oh, yeah, they like each other. The Grizzlies still like Dylan. Dylan still likes them. Off the court, after the games, they're still friends. They're still cool. And then the game starts, and I go, I don't think these guys might not like Dylan here. Dylan might hate these guys, because he plays with that passion. He is kind of
okay.
I love it. I'm not saying anything's wrong with it at all. I love it. And so it makes for a fun, entertaining, back and forth type of thing. And they've got other guys on that team that kind of carries that same chip on their shoulder. And so, no, it would be an electric series.
22 last night for Dylan Brooks and 13 from Fred VanVleet. He's really the veteran presence that I think we were hoping Marcus Smart would be.
Yeah, no, he's been huge for the Rockets. You know, you don't need him to do too much because you've got other guys that can go out and score. But for him to kind of be that just calming veteran presence, get me the ball and I'll make a play. He's been fantastic. And you're right. You know, you thought that bringing in Marcus Smart from the Celtics and the playoff success he's had with them, and being deep in playoffs, but just hasn't worked out. And now you're seeing, any and every talk, whether it's online, on television, about if the Grizzlies make a move, it feels like it involves Marcus Smart.
Yeah, we'll do big number of the day in about an hour.
Yeah.
But it could be 11 turnovers, I think, for the Tigers last night, right?
That's right, yeah.
And 11 for the Grizzlies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
two very turnover-prone teams of late.
Yeah, and so, that's what you want, especially for both those teams where, turnovers have been an issue for both. And certainly the Grizzlies, we talk about it all the time, dead last in the NBA. You can live, certainly, in the NBA with 11 turnovers. I was going back and looking. Certainly the best game Dillon Brooks has had this season against the Grizzlies, because I remember the last two games, really bad. 2 for 15 and 3 for 11 in the last two games previous to last night. Way back, second game of the season, he had an okay game, 18 points, 5 for 12 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3. So, yeah, last night, 22 points, 9 for 17 from the field. He was feeling it. He was feeling it early, and you kind of thought, uh-oh, if this goes to 0-4 and Dillon Brooks is a marquee player in it, an instrumental role in it, that's not going to feel good. But ultimately, he wasn't, and the Grizzlies able to pull it out late. Some big-time play from a lot of guys. Jalen Wells really big late in that game. The rookie stepping up, knocking down some shots for the Grizzlies to get that win. And then Jaren Jackson stepping up to the line and knocking down 2 critical free throws.
Jalen Wells just does so many things so very well.
Yeah.
And now with the season series completed, if they play again, it'll probably be in May, if not 25-26 season.
That's right. And so it would be a fun series, but you're right. Kind of weird how the schedule broke with the Rockets. If you see them again in the playoffs, it's going to be a long time since you last saw them, but definitely fun to see the Grizzlies get that win last night and avoid the 0-4 sweep from Houston. Well, let's go ahead and get to another break, wrap up this first hour. When we return, we're talking some more wagering with Bruce Marshall.
Specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
I think people forget there's a Central Barbecue location in South Haven.
And that's on us.
Well, you.
What does that mean?
Well, you're the spokesperson for Central Barbecue. It's your responsibility to remind people there's a Central Barbecue in South Haven.
It's very convenient that I'm the spokesperson when there's responsibility to be taken.
Just mention the Central Barbecue location in South Haven.
I got a lot to remember. There's the location on Butler downtown. There's a location on Summer, on Poplar.
And Getwell Road in South Haven. How hard is that?
I've heard you call yourself a spokesperson for Central Barbecue.
No, it was just to pick up chicks.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 11 to join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is a PCUSA church located in Memphis. Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. T-Dot's out with this accident. We're checking it out live over here on 40 westbound at Hollywood. One vehicle's got a lot of front-end damage, and it's got traffic running slow in this area. 40 westbound at Hollywood as traffic picks up on 240 east from Mill Branch out to 385 Bill Morris Parkway. If your lawn needs a little bit of help this time of the year, call Lawn Solutions. Over 30 years experience. Check out their website at lawnsolutionsinc.net. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis, with Dave Willotion, weekday mornings from 10 to 11. Joining the guys every Friday is college football historian and Vegas legend, Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insiders, CBS Sports, and his own website, VegasSports.net, with over 30 years on Memphis radio. Sports Time, here's Bruce Marshall with Bryant and Brett.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you. We're in our Family Leisure Studios. We're about to talk some wagering with Bruce Marshall. As always, Bruce Marshall joins us from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. A lot to get to with him. We'll look a little bit ahead to the Super Bowl, but also college basketball and NBA. Bruce usually always has some bets for us, especially some weird ones on a Friday night. So looking forward to get to that with him. We have Bruce now. Bruce, thanks so much for joining us. A lot to get into this afternoon, but we finally have the Super Bowl set. Eagles and Chiefs will meet in New Orleans next week. Kind of a long way look ahead. Is there anything that jumps out to you in this game a week from Sunday?
Well, I actually remember the first time the Eagles played the Chiefs. It was back in 1972. And that's in the few years that the Eagles wore white helmets, believe it or not. And they played a game at Arrowhead, and they only won 2 games that year. One of them was at KC, 21-20. Go that up, and you'll see a remarkable touchdown catch as the ball was sort of kicked in the air by the Chiefs, and they ended up scoring a long touchdown. Anyway, that's my history lesson for these two. Of course, they met more recently, the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and they also met last year in the regular season in a Monday night game late November when the Eagles actually won at Arrowhead, 21-17. And for a while last year, I mean, the Chiefs were sort of wobbling there. They lost that game. They lost a game also on Christmas to the Raiders. But then they picked up steam in the playoffs and won those games on the road. I haven't decided how I'm going to lean in this game. The question in my mind is, do we just keep respecting the Chiefs and their ability to win these close games? And if you assume this game is going to be close, it's sort of hard to pick against them. But on the other side, maybe Saquon is just such a with all those explosive plays that are so unique. Maybe we have to shade the Eagles a bit. I'm still not sure which way I'm going to go on this, though. It is compelling here, and the revenge angle for the Eagles. I wonder if that's dulled a little bit, though, because they did see the Chiefs once since then and did beat them last year. So I'm not sure that angle is so strong, but we'll see.
Bruce, for the Chiefs, they already, I think, are already a dynasty. If they win, there's no doubt we're going to have the D word talk about them. But they're already a dynasty, aren't they?
Sure. And I mean,
just getting all those AFC championship games.
They got 3 Super Bowls in 5 years. That's good enough for me. And plus, we got 7 straight AFC title games, so that's good enough. And for this era, I mean, they have really taken the mantle from the Patriots. I mean, they're this decade's answer to what the Patriots have been prior. You know, it's funny looking back New England actually went 10 years between Super Bowl wins during
right.
the Belichick-Brady era, so there's sort of two separate eras there for New England. But, the one thing about Super Bowls lately, and Brett, you're old enough to remember, you weren't that old then. I mean, but in the 80s and 90s, when these games were all turned out almost all to be one-sided games, and we've had a succession of close games. The last three have been decided by exactly 3 points, so it's been a much better spectacle in recent years. But I can remember a point, and it was almost all the NFC teams winning in that span, the 80s and 90s. The last AFC win was in that span was the Raiders beating the Redskins 38-9, the game down in Tampa, and they went 14 years between AFC wins until Denver beat Green Bay. But a lot of those were lopsided. The Raider win was lopsided, and a lot of those NFC wins were lopsided. Only a couple of exceptions, one being that Giants-Bills game. But to the point, after the 94 season, so this would have been Super Bowl, 29 in Miami, that spread between the Niners and Chargers was about 19. That was the biggest point spread that entire season in the NFL, if you can believe it, was in the Super Bowl, and that was because we had a succession of lopsided Super Bowl results leading up to that. So it's kind of neat. In recent years, we've had a lot more competitive games in the Super.
And the Niners got there easily that day. Classic mismatch everywhere you look, but especially at quarterback. Steve Young versus Stan Humphries.
Yeah, and they jumped out so fast, and the final score line doesn't indicate how lopsided that game was. It looked like the Niners could score whenever they wanted. The Chargers had a kickoff return for a TD, and they scored the last scores of the game were done by the Chargers, but 49-26, that looked more like as bad as any Super Bowl route, and there have been a few of them, including the Niners, Denver, and the Bears, Patriots, and a few others, but that one looked as bad as any of them for most of that game in Miami.
Bruce, I have said this week that I think New Orleans that it wins being the all-time Super Bowl town. I think they're now tied. This will be 11 in New Orleans, a couple outdoors at Tulane Stadium, most at the Dome. The Dome was built for the Saints and built to host Super Bowls, was even supposed to be completed and host Super Bowl IV that the Chiefs defeated Minnesota in, but it wasn't in time, and wasn't even in time when Dallas defeated Miami. That may have been the one that was supposed to be completed by. But anyway, what do you think the town is for the Super Bowl? Is it Miami or is it New Orleans?
No, I think it's New Orleans, and actually, it was that Vikings-Steelers game that was the one played in that was the last game at Tulane Stadium. So that was the one. The Superdome was a little late getting ready, and so in the '74 season, the Saints still played at home. So that was one. And by the way, that was a Super Bowl with a 2-0 halftime score. By the way, so that's happened too. And the Steelers were ahead 2-0 at halftime in that one. No, I'd have to say it's New Orleans. I mean, because they've had more of them. And it's just a city that's made for it because the celebration and the party area there is so concentrated. It beats Miami for that, I think. And Vegas is way behind now. They'll try to catch up. They got a long way to catch up, and they won't in our lifetimes. They got one last year, but even for just a one event party town, New Orleans is pretty hard to beat because everything is sort of down there concentrated. Vegas, things are a little bit more spread out, and they certainly are in Miami too. And then the places in Miami where you can party are not near the stadium either. At least New Orleans, the Dome is right down there. So it's the place for the Super Bowls, I think.
Mm-hmm. Well, you look at the Buffalo Bills. I think a lot of people talked last week of, if they're going to do it, now's the time to do it. And it, obviously didn't get it done against Kansas City this time. Did the Bills maybe miss an opportunity here, or do you think we'll be talking about them maybe in the mix again next year?
Well, I think right now you could think they probably would be because their division seems to be in sort of disarray right now. And they had to sort of wait for the Patriots to move out of the way. And it's funny how Buffalo sort of supplanted New England. That first Buffalo playoff berth with Allen was in 2019. They were the wild card that year, and the Patriots still had Brady and Belichick, but they lost that first round game to the Titans that year, and that was it. And that was sort of the changing of the guard. But I think given the various degrees of disrepair in the AFC East right now, that the Bills look. I mean, they'll be favored again, I think, to win that division. It's interesting. This past year, there was a lot of talk about Miami ready to overtake them, and maybe even the Jets with Aaron Rodgers, but those turned out to be false alarms. So I think they've got a leg up on some of the others, certainly those teams from the north. And I'm not sure if that new stadium's. I think it's 2 years that new stadium will be ready right next to the old one there. But no, I think we haven't heard the last of Buffalo, and they've certainly come close a couple times here against Kansas City, but they just keep getting turned away, like they were last Sunday and last year by the Chiefs too.
Yeah, they win the Close Award. 7 new hires in this hiring period, including Dallas hiring Brian Schottenheimer. I just assume that Kellen Moore is going to get hired by the Saints. I'm counting him in that. The Brian Schottenheimer hire, did it stun you?
Yes, and that this might be Jerry just going back into that Jason Garrett mode. And the older he's gotten, he sort of changed there with McCarthy. That one, he went back to looking for help on the outside. But there are times Jerry, does things. I'm convinced he does things to sort of think he's smarter than everybody else. And I'll make a hire like Jason Garrett. He's promoted Garrett, and they kept him for a long time. And I'll make a hire like Schottenheimer because nobody else would have made these hires, and I'll show everybody that I'm smarter than them. I swear I think that's part of it. But a lot of people, it's a hard time for me believing that Schottenheimer's an upgrade from McCarthy, especially since he was on staff. Yeah. And you talk around the league and sources around the league and these other job openings, Schottenheimer wasn't on the short list for any of them. Wasn't even on the long list. So to me, and you could tell the press conference was all about Jerry, very little about Schottenheimer. So I almost think this is one of, and I do kind of, I like Jerry. I think he's kind of fun and good for the league, but I do think sometimes he just outsmarts himself and thinks he's smarter than everybody else in the league, and sometimes you get moves like this.
Yeah. Well, and my favorite part from the press conference was when he started saying that Schottenheimer is just as good of a head coach pick as Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, two of the most talked about coordinators to head coaches over the last year and a half. But Brian Schottenheimer, who was on nobody's radar, was just as good of a pick as both those guys. Yeah, and I'm at the point. You're right about that, and. But I'm at the point, all these guys getting promoted to their first head coaching jobs, it's all a roll of the dice, as opposed to guys who have been head coaches before. And we see this so often. And this goes for Liam Cohen at Jacksonville, too. I really wonder about that selection as well. It's different being a head coach than being just an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator. And we have seen so many of these. There's more Nathaniel Hackett-type hires as a head coach than there are hires that work out like John Harbaugh or Belichick. And even Belichick's first head coaching run didn't go that well with Cleveland. So I think Schottenheimer and I think Aaron Glenn, I think Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, I think these are all very, very up in the air. I'm not ready to commit either way on those hires. I much prefer what New England and Las Vegas did with their coaching hires.
Bruce, it's proof that there's no experience like experience. We talked last week about Pete Carroll. We all love that hire, and he had the miss with the Patriots, and then got his career figured out. And Mike Vrabel in this coaching cycle, I think he will be really good. And just this year, last week's defeated team in the NFC Championship game, Dan Quinn was up 28-3 in a Super Bowl. That's worth some experience, isn't it?
Sure, and I don't mind. These guys have been head coaches before. It's pretty well documented. It's a different set of skills and different set of things you need to do as a head coach as a coordinator. And we've seen this forever, rushing in to promote these coordinators who just don't. You have to macro manage as opposed to just micromanage, and a lot of them are not up to it, and they can never get out of that coordinator mode. Some guys do it pretty well. Mike Tomlin did it pretty well. He was able to adjust. Harbaugh, like we said before. But some others, it's just it doesn't work. And all these guys, the head coaches, I know they were assistants at one point before they got to be a head coach. But when you're at the NFL level and you're judging the new hires like that, we can afford to we can afford to analyze this and criticize it. And I think all these ones, Aaron Glenn, Johnson, Cohen, Schottenheimer, even Kellen Moore, if the Saints do it like we think, they're all to be determined.
Bruce Marshall with us from Vegas Insider, BamSports.net, and CBS Sports. He's on our Sissy's Log Cabin guest line and with us every Friday at this time talking about the games and the history of sports. Bruce, so we'll do this now because next week it'll be kind of all game intensive. Do you have a favorite Super Bowl of all time?
Well, as a Bronco fan, I guess that first one they won against the Packers was was the one that sticks out to me. Although, for me, I mean, the first one was because I was actually there. Now, I was going on 9 years old, so I was in third grade. I wasn't that old, but I was actually there. That's the only one I've been to. Chiefs-Packers, and I think that is the most misunderstood Super Bowl of them all because that was a darn good game for into the third quarter. And the Chiefs were playing with the Packers, and then that Willie Wood interception on the tip pass turned everything around. But the Chiefs were very much competitive in that game, and it was very much called the Super Bowl unofficially in the media that year. That's how it was referred to. They weren't affixing the name officially as the Super Bowl until Super Bowl III. But the first one, everyone was calling it. I remember them having a Rose Bowl like float at the game, saying Super Bowl on it, and the magazines, newspapers, Super Bowl this, Super Bowl that. So it was sort of called the Super Bowl right from the start. However, I think the real most important Super Bowl was the Jets beating the Colts.
Yeah, 2 years.
And that was the one. The Jets, by the way, haven't been back since. So there you go.
Undefeated.
It's a long wait. Yeah, they're undefeated in the Super Bowl. But I think that one really, the game became a real event starting then, and Namath was part of it too. But the fact it was the right result at the right time with the right guy leading into the merger the next year. So I still maintain that was as important a Super Bowl as any of them, and I remember watching that one on NBC as well.
Yeah, and we referenced you yesterday with a guest, Doug Kazarian from Las Vegas. We had him, and we referenced you, and you've written through the years of some of the alleged funny stuff potentially around Super Bowl III.
Well, yeah, and there's part of it. I think it was just having Carol Rosenblum involved on the Colts side, and there's always been some rumors about what he did, and maybe would he have actually bet against his team? I don't know. I mean, some people think he might have with that big a spread and just don't win it as big. I think that's a little far fetched, but some of the performances in that game just didn't seem to fit Earl Morrall's performance. Although I've gone back and I've looked at it, and I know some guys who are adamant that something was fishy going on. That tip pass in the end zone off of Tom Mitchell's shoulder that Randy Beverly got, if you look at the Super Bowl III, the NFL films a video of that, you can see that ball was very slightly deflected, and it did change the trajectory. So I'm going to excuse Morrill for that. Missing Jimmy Orr wide open at the end of the first half, maybe not. Yeah, there's been some conjecture about it. But the only thing was the Jets, the Colts didn't have to lose the game for the Jets to cover that point spread. The Jets played, pretty well that day, and George Sauer Jr. in particular was very, very hard for the Colts to handle. So as time has gone on, I've come to accept the result of that game, although I know a few people who still can't.
I was telling Bryant yesterday, it was more off there, Bruce, in every kind of shaky, maybe something going on game, it's always the big point spread, and the other team is just going to get in under the number, and they let it get away from them. Whether it was Headache Smith back at Arizona State, heck, back to Boston College, their scandal, the intentions are always, we're not throwing the game. We're just not going to win by that much, and it gets away from them, and it sets off fire alarms.
Yeah, and, you could see that sort of scenario in Super Bowl III. I mean, if you wanted to take that route, because there was such a big point spread in that game. But I still think the further I get away from it and just looking at it, it seems still kind of implausible. But you're right. I mean, if that's the sort of game where, you could still win, but just not by as much. I think it's implausible that happened in that game. But there's a few people who still think that it was. We'll never know.
Yeah. Talking to Bruce Marshall from Vegas Insider, CBS Sports, and BAMSports.net. Let's get over to some basketball. And the Tigers, they won last night on the road against Tulane. That improves them to 11-10 against the spread. But over the last week or so, I've heard some people talking about this Tigers team and kind of their perception in Vegas and how a lot of people going against them, because you look at before these last two games where they covered 5 straight losses against the spread in conference play. What is the perception of this Memphis Tiger basketball team in Vegas?
Well, they don't trust them because they've seen games like the Temple game where things just a little bit too erratic, and even some of the wins, East Carolina, they just don't quite. The Charlotte win was tougher. The Wichita win was tougher than it should have been. Although then the last two, the UAB game was a real nice blowout, and they did beat Ole Miss handily too. I think it's because it's the erratic nature of their performances that, and they've got some, you go back, you got, Missouri, Michigan State, those are really good wins that Memphis has, but the performance pattern and Ole Miss, but they've had so many games where they haven't looked that good. So I think there's just a lack of trust. And it's probably from a lot of guys who bet on Memphis in those games and they didn't cover. Although they won, but they haven't been that reliable against the spread, and I think that's more what that's in line with.
Number 1, Auburn in Oxford tomorrow, all-time Ole Miss, 0-16 against number 1s. What kind of chance you give Chris Beard's team against Bruce Pearl tomorrow in Oxford?
Oh, I think they got a chance just because, the way the SEC is this season, it is so darn hard to go through this. And Auburn did get Janae Broom back last weekend, and they did beat Tennessee, but they've had a couple of close calls here. The Georgia game was close. They took a while to shake LSU. I don't even know if they got the spread in that game. So they're going to be laying something here tomorrow, and I did see this number earlier, so I'm going to take another look at it right now because they do have some early numbers up for college hoops tomorrow. But this is one Ole Miss might be able. It's 5.5, 6 early number, 149 on the total. I'm not sure that I would lay that. If I'm reluctant to lay points with anybody on the road in this league, just because this league is so tough, and Chris Beard could lay a trap. I thought it was a good win over Texas the other night because they had a couple tough losses in a row, including the Mississippi State and A&M games. They could have won really easily, maybe even the Mizzou game. But look at their games; they're all close. So I kind of think Ole Miss might hang around.
Yeah. Is there anything you like tonight in college basketball?
Yeah, a few. I like this Akron a lot. This is, by the way, a really short road trip in the MAC. To Kent State, it's only about a 15-minute ride, so they're really close together, so it's not much of a road trip. But look at Akron now. They're flying 8 straight wins in the MAC. They're getting a few points tonight. John Gross has won before, and he's got a team that he's got a lot of depth. He rotates 9 guys very effectively. They are the best assist team in the MAC, and they're one of the better assist teams in the country, so they pass the ball very well. This is not a vintage Kent State team this year. I'm a little bit surprised that the Golden Flashes are favored. And like I said, this is not much of a road trip for Akron tonight. This is a good team, and Gross has done this before, so I would take Akron tonight. Nate Johnson, a really good guard, just all around. So I think Akron is good. St. Louis is another one tonight, playing much better. Now, this is Josh Schertz. He came over from Indiana State. It took the Billikens a while this year, but he had a couple of those guys that he brought with him in Avila, the center with the glasses, and Isaiah Swope, who had transferred actually into Indiana State last year from Southern Indiana, and he was really good last year, and he's put up some good numbers for the Billikens. Jimerson, their return guard, they got 3 guys scoring better than 15 per game. Dayton has really faded they've gone flat since they impressed everybody at Maui. They're struggling some in the A10. They got whipped by St. Bonaventure on the road the other night. I think St. Louis wins at a very short price tonight. And maybe one more in the Metro Atlantic. Tobin Anderson's Iona. Always thought this team had a little bit more upside than it showed early. All of a sudden, now they're starting to win 3 in a row. DeJour Reeves, transfer guard from Northern Colorado, maybe the best player in this league. And another short ride from New Rochelle down into the Bronx. Actually, where Manhattan is. Manhattan is in the Bronx, believe it or not, the school. But it's a short ride down, so not much of a road trip. I think Iona gets the win. Manhattan has flattened out a bit lately, so I'll go with Iona. Short price tonight.
I like it. Bruce, where can we find more of you?
Yeah, thanks. Check me out online for all these picks. VegasInsider.com. We got basketball, hockey all weekend. We'll have the Super Bowl up there sometime next week. VegasInsider.com also. CBS Sportsline, Sportsline.com. And the new place for picks with a different twist. Got some up there for tonight. Winnersandwhiners.com and picksandparlays.com.
Bruce, as always, thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again next week.
Okay, have a good weekend, guys.
You too, Bruce.
Thanks,
Good
Bruce.
luck. Thank you.
Bruce Marshall joining us from Vegas Insider, BAMSports.net, and CBS Sports every single week to talk some wagering. And he likes a handful of college basketball games tonight, even an early look at that Ole Miss game tomorrow afternoon. And a reminder, you can listen to that Ole Miss game tomorrow. Maybe you're out and about on a Saturday afternoon, can't get in front of a television, but still want to listen to that top 25 matchup. We'll have complete coverage starting at 12:30 with the pregame show right here on Sports 56 for that 1 o'clock tip, Ole Miss versus Auburn. But let's go ahead and get to another break, and when we return, we're talking some Razorbacks and the SEC with Ty Richardson.
Through the end of January, Family Leisure has got to get rid of all the 2024 inventory because all the new 2025 items are starting to arrive. All floor models are up to 50% off. You want a cold plunge tub? They start at $49.99. Go the other route with a hot tub. Get $3,000 off with free steps and chemicals. Family Leisure has pool tables, arcades, ping pong, air hockey, even baseball tables from 20 to 60% off. Want beers in? Family Leisure has theater seating up to 75% off. Plus, now's the time to start thinking about pool season. You can buy it now, get on the installation schedule, and be ready before everyone else. Special financing is also available. Hey, if you want to get free delivery on any of these items, you just tell the phone staff at Family Leisure that you heard this commercial. It's the floor model show. Now, through the end of January, Family Leisure, we wanted I-40, family and fun come together.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside, just for buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200 to $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FAST25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FAST25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FAST25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat of your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for a loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Rose on Highway 64 in Marlboro, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill. Sports 56 traffic.
Afternoon. It's moving a little bit better over here now on 40 westbound at Hollywood, where we had that earlier collision. It's trying to pick up on 240 eastbound from Mill Branch all the way out to 385 as you get on to Bill Morris Parkway. That's still moving right now as you continue out towards Collierville. Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your Valentine's Day headquarters. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Razorbacks on Sportstime. Joining the guys is Ty Richardson from ESPN Arkansas to talk all things Hogs and SEC. On Twitter X at Ty Sports Radio, here's Ty Richardson with Bryant and Brett.
Come on, all you Razorback fans, let's stand up and call those Hogs!
Ty Richardson joins us every week from ESPN Arkansas to talk the Razorbacks and the SEC, and a lot to get into this afternoon. We got to talk about what happened earlier this week, or I guess last weekend, an off week for the Razorbacks, but the big game tomorrow against Kentucky. John Calipari going back to Rupp. It should be interesting to see how that goes. But, Ty, let's start off with what happened over the weekend against Oklahoma. A 3-point loss at home against the Sooners. Razorbacks looking to get back-to-back wins in conference play. Just couldn't get it done Saturday night against the Sooners.
Yeah, and it was disappointing for a variety of reasons. Stats, I know, taking that in and watching them come up just short must have been tough, but that's just been this team this year. They've been competitive at times, but they just don't have any offense, guys. I mean, it's like watching a 50 or 60s team that just doesn't know how to shoot from beyond 20 feet. It's remarkable how bad that they are shooting, yet they still stay in games, I should say. But I hope that this is a close game tomorrow night. I get a little worried about what could happen at Lexington.
Ty, you're right. This is not Eddie Sutton playing very conservative ball. It's sure not Lanny Van Eman that preceded Coach Sutton. This is Duddy Waller from the 60s without the 3-point line. It is such a grind on the offensive end. And Ty, I must say, now, just one game I've seen in person, but I've watched all the games. I think it's a little bit of a mystery on the defensive end, and I'm going to say it. The hardest thing on earth to prove and the easiest in talk radio to say it, and I reserve it for that reason to use it very, very, very unoften. I question the effort a little bit, Ty.
Yeah, and I just think when sometimes, like, teams that can't score, you look at it and say, well, they're not any good. And you're right. It's like, well, they're not trying hard enough. Defensively, my team's stats is they're smaller than any Cal team that he's had in recent memory. Mm-hmm. And he decided to shrink the lineup, which was just a horrible disaster. I don't know how healthy they are relative. And if you watch
they're not.
You took it in. I mean, Porter Moser just pressed them. And so I saw the waves that Mark Pope brought in Knoxville at Thompson Bowling. He's going to do the same thing. He saw the game tape. He saw how tired they got. They're going to press them the whole game. And DJ and John L. and Billy are going to be gassed by the end of it, and they won't have any legs left. So I just don't know how Arkansas pulls it out. I think it's the effort. I just don't think they have anything left in the tank at the end of the game. That's where I think the effort comes in. When you have guys that can give maximum effort for 20, 25 minutes. These guys are playing 30-plus minutes a game, and it's just not going to work like this the rest of the way.
All right, I see lack of Cal effort. I don't see him as manic, as crazed, as just hungry, rabid dog, and I mean all that in a good sense that I saw at UMass, that I saw here in Memphis, that I saw at Kentucky. I see him kind of okay with some things that I know used to drive him crazy.
Yeah, and I think on that's what he said. You can take him at his word on this, or you don't have to believe him at all. It's your choice. But he said that he's trying to coach a different way with this team. He's trying to pull out all the stops. It's not working. This is his fault. Like he picked out this roster. You can say it's the players. Well, he selected them. And not only did he hand select them, he said, well, these are the cream of the crop that we want in order to try this 9-man rotation. Mm-hmm. I was skeptical from the jump. I remember talking about this in the summer when he spoke about this, and I'm thinking, man, Arkansas has injuries every year the last 5 to 10 years, and you want to try this philosophy in the toughest. Now, we didn't know at the time, but it's the toughest conference in college basketball, and it has just backfired immensely. He's not going to do this next year, but you wasted a year. Here's the worrisome thing. I talked about this today on our show. That's Brian. Cal has now had 2 bad regular seasons the last 5 years, and they're not going to win the tournament this year. You've got 1 NCAA tournament appearance in 5 years as a Hall of Fame coach. That is, to me as an Arkansas fan, that is terrifying. The fact that you've spent so much money, you've invested so much capital in IL on a roster, and you've got 1 NCAA tournament appearance stocked up in your head coach in 5 years. I hope that's not what we're seeing in another 5 years, but guys, there's a lot more data that shows that he is, I don't know, bottomed out is the right word, but he has not found success in today's age of college basketball postseason wise. And that's
and a birthday cake and a birthday cake that's getting ready to have 66 candles on it.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I mean, you need a damn fire extinguisher for those.
And that you brought it up. We had Jeff Goodman on with us last week, and he also really submitted the same thing you just said, where he didn't know if he works as hard. I mean, Goodman said it, that I don't think he works as hard. And it's really hard for me to believe. Like, I'm 30, and I'm in a point, me and Brian are about the same age, like, I have to work hard. I don't have anything I can rest on. No one, I haven't accomplished enough in my life, and I have to think that me versus how I am at 65/66, I'm not going to work as hard just because I'll have credibility and all that. Yeah. And so you're asking, like you alluded to, your fans are relying on and Hunter Yurachek and that whole administration. Like, you have to outwork people in today's day and age with money and everything else. And so that's a real thought to question. It's like, if this guy's not working as hard as he used to, and everyone else is working harder in college basketball in the SEC, we might be in trouble with this whole thing.
And I don't know John Calipari's finances, but I do know this: the going away check he got from the New Jersey Nets, he handed to Memphis investor Paul Tudor Jones, and that always turns into magic. I would be stunned if the first number when he pops out, the grand figure total of investments and everything, if the first number is not a 7, I'll be stunned, as in $70 million net worth.
Jeez Louise. Wouldn't that be nice? I mean, Brian Stats, wouldn't that be nice to just be
it was around 30 from the Nets, reported here by very credible sources.
Goodness gracious. I had no idea it was that high. That'd be nice to sit on that stack of cash. I need a financial advisor like the guy you just referred to, Stats. Right. I'm getting cheated right now.
I'm playing the 4 or 5% game, aren't you?
Yeah, that's the way to go, man. It's max it out as much as you can, and hopefully you'll see the dividends down the road.
Absolutely. So what do you think the reception will be tomorrow night? I saw yesterday Rick Pitino put out a video asking Kentucky fans to give him a standing ovation and give him a warm welcome back. I don't think it's going to go as well as Rick Pitino wants it to go.
And I actually watched the video of Pitino coming back in, and I'm thinking, all right, he's going to get booed out of Rupp. And it wasn't as bad. We live in today's age of social media now. We live in, I think that, you tell me this, Stats, I think this exit and transition was more volatile than what happened with Pitino and him re-entering with Louisville.
Very much so.
Yeah. Okay, and that's my job.
Louisville.
Say that again?
It's Louisville. That's like waving a red cape at El Toro.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I just can't see him getting a warm welcome any part. And you mentioned Pitino there, Brian. I also listened to a fan on Mark Pope's coach's show this week and basically echoed the same sentiment that Pitino and you just did. And I just, that good for that fan, but that's not the collective of what is walking into Rupp. These are rabid angry. It's a 9 o'clock tip. They're going to be ripped on Kentucky bourbon. It is going to be an absolute bleep show, and the booze and every other word that's going to come out of people's mouth that night is not going to be pleasant, I don't think.
Bryant, flag the tape. Let me do the unthinkable.
Okay.
Let me come to the hearty defense of John Calipari. Look,
wow.
Tomorrow night at Rupp, this isn't Billy Clyde Gillespie walking in. This is John Calipari that did deliver a national championship almost, I know, heartbreakingly. And on his last day on planet Earth, it will be grinding his gears that lost to Wisconsin in the national semis, or he goes 40-0. He did deliver all those first-round picks. He did deliver a lot of highs, a lot of big wins, other trips to the Final Four, eights, etc. Some ugly exits. It goes with the territory. He does not deserve to be treated like he's Joker Phillips walking into Rupp Arena tomorrow night.
Look at you, Brad.
You pulled out.
big of
You
you.
pulled out two good comps. You pulled out Joker Phillips and Billy Clyde Gillespie. Goodness gracious. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the success is there. I still don't know how that Kentucky team lost. I mean, Frank Kaminsky, Eric Decker. I mean, that was a really good Wisconsin squad.
The Frank Kaminsky shot, every shot he hit, I think I threw rotator cuffs out.
He was unbelievable that game, and credit to Bo Ryan for getting. And the thing about that matchup is that team was the only team in college basketball could match up with
the only one.
Mm-hmm.
Great point, Ty. The only one.
And I mean, you had Trey Lyles was playing the 3, and he was a 4 anywhere else in college basketball. And I don't know why people don't go big, but I guess you got to shoot. But back to your point, I mean, the success stories are numerous with Cal. I think the thing that irked me in his press conference, his opening press conference, and he said a lot of good things, but if I'm going to pick out one detail to criticize, like Arkansas fans, Memphis fans, Kentucky fans, UMass fans, they're happy for when their guys get to the NBA. But when he was talking about it's about the players, like you don't use Fayetteville for a launching pad to get Boogie or anyone else in the NBA. You use the university and everything else to get you wins and potentially another national championship. And I think something that's been said about him is he cares more about getting guys to the NBA than he does winning college basketball postseason games. I have no idea if that's true or not, but it's sure like, again, you bring up that recent success in the last 5 years, it sure looks like that might be more the goal. I'm not saying it is, but based on the track record, it's just, and I know the NCAA tournament's tough, I get that, but the goal always needs to be, whether in Memphis, Tennessee, Fayetteville, Arkansas, Lexington, Kentucky, or anyone else, always has to be postseason success and Final Fours and championships. I hope that's in his mind in the next 3 or 4 years.
Always. Our good friend Ty Richardson with us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. We talk Razorbacks and SEC with him, and on Wednesday night, Ty, I got to do it for the first time since their admission into the Southeastern Conference. I was in Oxford on Wednesday night, and when the clock hit 0 and the buzzer sound and Ole Miss had 3 more than Texas, I got to do a hearty horns down to Texas and the SEC, and it felt good, Ty.
That's beautiful. Yeah, that was a good game. They had a couple good games on Wednesday night. Ole Miss needed that. They had
to have.
Again, we're reeling a little bit. It's not like they played. The thing is, it's like, well, Ole Miss is taking a step back. It's like, look at the competition. Look at who they lost to. I mean, Mississippi State, no joke. Alabama, no joke. The SEC, you don't get a break any given weekend. I think if I remember this right, Alabama has like 8 straight games ranked down the stretch of their basketball season, which is just absurd. Outside of Arkansas coming up, I think 8 of them or 9 is something insane down the stretch. But that's just the day in the life of SEC basketball. And never in my wildest dreams, guys, could I imagine this league. Maybe we don't know yet because I mean postseason. You've got to have postseason, right? Baseball's won the last 4. Football's been in every championship or semifinal since 2006. Basketball needs to not just make a Final Four like Auburn did in 2019. They got to win the whole thing like Kentucky did in 2012. Or the characteristic is, well, the SEC can't win the big one, and it's hard to it's hard to push back on that.
Truth.
It's true.
And the only way you crack through that is doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I get frustrated sometimes when people say, well, they had a great regular season, great season success. It's like no one remembers the 73-9 Golden State Warriors team because that team didn't finish what they were supposed to do. They didn't close out the Cavaliers after being up 3-1, and they lost that series. And you can't listen. I get things happen, and sports is about luck sometimes, but it just drives me insane when people are content with regular season success. We've got a little bit of it with Arkansas baseball. I don't want Dave to end up like Mike Martin at Florida State. 9 College World Series stats, something insane, but he never won one. I mean, that's hanging over Arkansas baseball, Gonzaga basketball. There's probably a football program I'm missing that has that regular season success, but they can't get over the hump. I know it was Clemson for a number of years until Dabo and company finally beat Alabama. But that you've got to separate you can't separate the two. It's the season doesn't conclude in basketball in the middle of March. It goes through in April. And so that drives me nuts when people are like, well, he had regular season success. No, it doesn't matter. It's like you have to talk about the postseason.
You're defined in golf by majors and in team sports by rings and championship banner nights.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, it's been 30-plus years since Arkansas has been able to tout anything like that, guys.
That is that's a long time, but tough game this weekend against Kentucky. But maybe we'll be talking about an upset next time we talk with you, Ty. Ty, as always, thanks so much for joining us. We'll do it again next week.
Later, fellas.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you much. Ty Richardson with us from ESPN Arkansas in Northwest Arkansas at Fort Smith, and all things Razorbacks. Look, the big game coming up, not this Sunday, but a week from Sunday, and we're all trying to plan our party just right and what we're going to have. Step aside, let Jason's Deli step in. In fact, that's when they really excel. When you don't think you have it planned properly, they step in and everything is taken care of. Same day and last minute orders welcomed. Yeah, they would do it on Saturday, but get ahead of the rush for the big game, for that great food, a variety of all day meals, whether it's breakfast, lunch, or all day meals for groups of 5 or 5,000. Bringing more to the table. It's a family thing at Jason's Deli, whether it's driving in, to go, or delivery. Let them take care of you. The pasta feast, the sunshine breakfast box, the plain Jane potato bar. That's for big groups. And then for every big group, the working lunch, traditional deluxe sandwich tray, a salad choice, pasta salad, or American potato salad, the sandwich tray, all the desserts, those dessert trays, outstanding, assorted fresh-baked cookies, the Beefeater sliders tray. That all could be your setup for the big game from any of these locations, whether it's on Ridgeway Road over across from MUS, Poplar and Highland by the University of Memphis, down in Olive Branch, out in Cordova, and all the food is healthy. First franchise in the nation to be trans fat free. That's the big debate now. I'm trying to get healthy, and Jason's Deli's always done that. And it's all about choice, plenty of organic food to choose from, the great salad bar in every location with over 30 items to choose from, and complimentary free ice cream in all the locations, whether it's Cordova, Olive Branch by the University of Memphis, or on Ridgeway Road. Check them out online as well at jasonsdeli.com.
Let's get to another break, and when we return, it'll be time for Big Number of the Day.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Sometimes you just need to make it fast, like the fun that comes from a quick and nimble 2024 Honda CB500F. This amazing style streetlights with a narrow 471cc twin, along with a sleek TFT display, dual disc front brakes, and standard ABS, all running at full price. Find fun in all your prices in 2024 Honda CB500F, available at DeSoto Honda, 5656 Miller Road, Olive Branch. Replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Gunslinger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Gunslinger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Gunslinger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood, across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit gunslingerglass.com. Gunslinger Glass.
Colin
Sherrod here with pro tight end Dallas Goedert to share his journey with plaque psoriasis and how he tackles his symptoms with Otezla apremilast.
Yeah, being a football player with plaque psoriasis can be challenging. My skin gets flaky and itchy, so my doctor told me about a pill, Otezla. It works from the inside out.
Otezla is a prescription medicine used to treat adult patients with plaque psoriasis for whom phototherapy or systemic therapy is appropriate. Otezla can help you get clearer skin after just 4 months. Dallas is an Otezla patient that has been compensated for his time. Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms, severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts.
Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
If you're struggling with plaque psoriasis, talk to your doctor about Otezla. Visit Otezla.com for more information or call 1-844-4-OTEZLA for prescribing info about cost, and more.
New year, new savings during the Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat Start Something New sales event on the bike. We got it covered in 2024 Jeep Grand Wagoneer L Series 3, $23,156 off MSRP and 0% for 36 or 3.9 for 72 months is available. 2023 Jeep Renegade Upland 4-wheel drive Sport, $309 a month. Buy it for $23,723 and power up in 2025 Ram 1500 Bighorn, $13,758 off MSRP or $629 a month. Plus all 2023 models, you can save up to $16,906 off. So drive past the rest. Come to the best. Gossett Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram Fiat. Online, GossettMotorCars.net.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motorcars.
331 MSRP 123,155. Renegade Triple P 57,256 MSRP 31,095. Ram SN 544,525 MSRP 56,825. Includes all rebates and incentives and excludes PF 695. Excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Dealer stock only.
Top Gun is the largest indoor range in the Mid-South, but size isn't their only difference. Top Gun has the best instructors with over 300 years combined experience and classes all the way from first shot to master marksmanship. Plus, Top Gun is affordable. Gold membership is just $48 a month. That's just $1.60 a day for a limited range time. Free gun rentals with purchase of ammo and members lounge access. Top Gun 2770 Whitten Road and TopGunMemphis.com. Always ship with the best. Top Gun Memphis.
Sportstime on Sports 56 and 95 once again, Brett Hartsley and Ryan Davis.
Big Daddy.
Hello, Big Brand. It's a guy, he wants to be big, then he gets big, he doesn't want to be big anymore, then he gets small, but the suit's too big.
Big Daddy.
The big boy.
You're a big guy. I think she's trying to pull a fast one on Big Daddy.
The big number of the day.
Well, my big number today is 76. I saw this last night, a really good tweet from our friend Kevin Sweeney in response to Joe Lenardi, who put out his updated bracketology today, but yesterday kind of put out that little sheet of, top four seeds. And yes. And Kevin Sweeney, this was his tweet last night in regards to all of the conversation of expanding the tournament. Kevin said, looking at the teams in the next four out right now and realizing that may be the bubble cut line in a couple of years is rather depressing. You go and you look at the next four out, Arizona State, Indiana, SMU, Wake Forest. He goes on to say, in a 76-team tournament, the train wreck that is Indiana would be in the field. SMU, whose best win is LSU, would be in. Northwestern and Nebraska, each 3-7 in the Big Ten, would be right there. Nobody needs this. And he's right. I mean, we talk about maybe 1, 2, at most maybe 3 teams that really have gripes at the end of the season for not being in the field. But you look at that. Brett, we've talked about Indiana and just how they do not play a good brand of basketball right now. And Mike Woodson, what is he really doing over there at Indiana?
It would save his job.
It would save his job. And so I just...
Might save Hubert Davis's job.
It would. In Hubert Davis, it feels like you make the tournament or you do not have a job next year. But, if it happens, it happens. But there is no on-court actual basketball reasoning to expand the tournament.
It's not, but we also know the big mover.
We know what is the reason behind
Cash.
Yes.
I can't believe I am opposite you and Kevin on this. I'm more okay by it than I ever could have ever believed.
Yeah.
Because, I've often said my favorite thing for the tournament, there's no prayer this happening, is to go backwards. The Bobby Knight idea of 32 teams.
No, certainly not. And, I mean, Brett, you know me. I mean, we always talk about this around conference tournament when you say, we don't need to invite every team. I love more games. The more games I'm in favor for. But at the same time, I mean, the thought of inviting, Indiana to the tournament is crazy.
Please tell me that would finish off the NIT.
It would have to. I mean, there's no way that I mean, NIT's having trouble surviving right now. I mean, when you take that type of talent away from it, it feels like that would be the end of it.
It sure would. There's live action college basketball right now.
Yale and Princeton.
I knew you would know. You got anything on it?
I do not have anything on it, but I just know that it's going on right now.
Yale up 10 at the half against Princeton.
That's
and then
decent Princeton
5:30,
team.
Butler and Georgetown.
That's right.
And the Friday night game is a good one.
Yeah.
Purdue and Indiana.
Yeah, it sure is. That's a really good one.
I think that's Indiana at Purdue.
That's right. And then the one that Bruce had one out for Dayton and St. Louis. St. Louis is going to be rocking for this game tonight. That'll be a fun one to watch.
The city itself and SLU, they're ready for that. They're ready to really put on a show. My big number is 325. As in $325 million. That was the economic impact for 7 Ole Miss home football games this year on the city of Oxford and Lafayette County. $71.7 million. The Georgia weekend, the lowest was $28.9 for Middle Tennessee. Retailers around Oxford say football season's better than Christmas. Most retail businesses are in business 11 months a year waiting for that 1 month.
Right, yeah.
That month and a half, 2 months.
Sure.
In Oxford, everybody will tell you, give me football.
That's awesome.
And even baseball over the holiday season.
That it's
that good for them. In 2025, 8 Oxford home games, and the big one will probably be LSU. That's the one that could rival Georgia last year.
No, that's a really good number, and I mean you got to imagine, in these SEC towns, that's huge business on those Saturdays when everyone comes out and they're looking to eat, they're looking to shop, they're looking to do all of that stuff.
That hotel room you can get for $79 a night is $679.
Exactly, and so it's huge for business, and I don't think we really think about
supply and demand.
And we don't really think about that on just a given Saturday, but when you have those type of figures, it's big business out there.
A lot of SEC smaller towns say it. In Oxford, we host 7, next year 8 Super Bowls a year.
That's right.
And treat every weekend like it's big.
Absolutely. So that is huge. The economic impact on home SEC games is massive. That's a really good big number. But we got to wrap up this hour and get to a break. Before we do that, though, let me remind you, maybe you're looking to get out tonight, go grab some dinner. Memphis, you think about the food in Memphis and you immediately think barbecue, and you can get the world-famous Memphis-style barbecue any night at the Commissary. With locations in Germantown and Collierville, stop in for lunch or dinner or get it to go. Start your meal with an appetizer like the cheese plate. Chicken wings are my favorite, the barbecue nachos. For more than 40 years, the Commissary has been a staple in this area, and a big reason is because of the quality of food they serve. My go-to, it's got to be the ribs, but it's hard to resist the barbecue shoulder. Get it chopped or pulled and get it by the plate or by the pound. Comes in handy with the sandwich packs. Feed the whole group with a 6-pack, 8-pack, even a 12-pack, and don't forget about the dessert like the delicious banana pudding, brownie, or the lemon icebox pie. Check out the entire menu and catering options at commissarybbq.com. And whether it's a watch party, maybe for the big game next week, maybe an office party coming up, let the Commissary cater your next event. Give them a call, 901-754-5540, and make any event perfect. Stop in today, though, at either location. In Germantown, open daily till 8 p.m., and in Collierville, open till 9 p.m. for that world-famous Memphis-style barbecue at the commissary. Well, the Tigers picked up a road win that they have not been able to do over the last 3 seasons. On the road at Tulane, 68-56, the final score. So we got to recap what happened. Jason Munns, the Tiger basketball beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal, he's presented every week by Jim's Place Grill in Collierville, and he joins us next on Sports Time.
Designed to maximize your workouts and minimize your time. An exercise coach gives you personal workouts by one-on-one with a trainer. Check out the exercise coach at exercisecoach.com/Lakeland or exercisecoach.com/Collierville. Age, injury, or knowledge.
Locally owned and operated for over 40 years, Automatic Gates Construction tailors custom gate solutions for all your residential, commercial, and industrial needs, including repairs, maintenance, and installation. Automatic Gates Construction specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blends security, functionality, and aesthetic appeal. Elevate the safety and efficiency of your property with a premium gate solution. Automatic Gates Construction at myautomaticgates.com.
No time to wait. It's here, the 36th annual January sale going on now at Sunrise Buick GMC in Wolf Case. Didn't get what you wanted for the holidays? That's okay. Now's the time to take care of you. You 100% happy with your $9.89. Now's the time to get you a new ride. Huge rebates, big discounts, low interest rates, and Sunrise, divorce, low pages, no credit. It's all okay at Sunrise. You care.
Sports and Mexican food, you can get the best of both at Los Cabos Mexican Bar and Grill on Summer near Graham. Watch all the big games on all the TVs on all the walls in Los Cabos and enjoy premium tequila shots anytime for just $5.50. Celebrate every day with reservations from 10 to 3 and happy hour from 3 to 8. Lunch is just $6.75 to $10.99 and margaritas start at $4.99. Experience real Mexican cuisine along with great sports at Los Cabos on Summer near Graham.
Good afternoon. Cleaning up this wreck, 240 westbound at Mill Branch. It's got traffic backed up all the way to Airways. Again, that's 240 westbound at Mill Branch on this accident. Yes, it's heavy over in the eastbound lanes in this area here on 240 from Mill Branch all the way out to 385 Bill Morris Parkway, which is picked up quite a bit, headed out towards Collierville. If your lawn needs help this time of the year, call Lawn Solutions. Over 30 years experience. That telephone number is 901-867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios, we are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Now, back to Sports Time on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour brought to you by Jaguar Land Rover Love City. Once again,
You say you stand by your man. Tell me something.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we start our third and final hour. And joining us now to talk some Tiger basketball, Jason Munns, the beat writer over at the Commercial Appeal. He's presented each and every week by Jim's Place Grill in Collierville. Jason, thanks so much for joining us last night down in New Orleans, a place that has been a house of horrors for the Tigers over the last 3 seasons, but they were able to break the curse and get a double-digit win last night. A weird game, back and forth early. Tulane had the lead at times in the second half, but then late, Tigers, they find the shooting stroke and end up winning it comfortably. What did you notice in that win last night from the Tigers?
Well, I noticed that P.J. Carter needs to continue to see his playing time increase.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that P.J. Haggerty was not quite himself. I noticed that Tyrese Hunter was not quite himself. I noticed that Penny Hardaway is like starting Dane Danger, putting him back in the starting lineup is like still paying dividends. So there was some good and some like not as good stuff. But like, I guess the biggest thing that you notice from last night is the fact that for the first time in more than 1,500 days, the Tigers get a win inside that building and get a chance to leave that city with a smile on their face for the first time in a very long time. Honestly, so when Memphis closes the first half on the 9-0 run and starts the second half with a bucket, 11-0 run, like in the middle of the game, and takes the lead. I think they took a 5-point lead or whatever. I was like, okay, it's they're in the driver's seat. Well, then Tulane starts pecking away at it, and they wind up taking a lead, and it's like Memphis can't quite get over the hump. It's like, I don't know, 12 minutes left in the game or something, and it's still a game. And I mean, I started to get antsy.
Yeah, I never did.
And never did.
Nope.
Not once.
Not once. In fact, yesterday I went with the bold 25-point win. I said 95-70. Okay, we didn't get there. And I don't know that the full exorcism of the Tulane thing happened last night, but in a town with a lot of tarot card readers and a lot of voodoo magic, I think a big step was taken to doing it.
I love that town. That city is just
Jason, I
fantastic.
do too.
I went
and
to...
And when I say this, I mean it with my arms around it and hugging it. That big old lovable dump, I love it.
Obviously, you guys know that I spent a lot of time in Hattiesburg, 20 years of my life in Hattiesburg. It's like an hour and a half from New Orleans.
Oh, that's easy to get to it.
Yeah, so like there were I'll just say there was more than one all-nighter that was where a trip down I-55 was taken, or I-59, sorry. And so I've spent a lot of time in that city, and it's always nice to go back.
It is. I'm glad it's not one step closer than it is.
Right.
Because that would be too enticing.
But like your description of it is just like the voodoo magic and the just everything about that city. I got to drive around a little bit yesterday, and it's one of a kind.
I love just driving around at a slow pace. You know, the guy behind you kind of get moving. You go, no, I'm just looking at everything.
Right, but again, they like you said, they didn't like blow them out, but they walk out of there with a 12-point win, and it couldn't have come a moment too soon.
Jason, I don't see a serious beef somebody could have with this team. I kind of went through a couple of things that people could to start the show. Anybody that starts complaining about schedule, news to you, the Memphis Tigers are a proud member of the AAC. It was going to be this conference schedule when they put the schedule out in the summertime on opening day of the conference schedule, the new year. This is the schedule. You know, find something else to complain about. It's not changing on the fly. I mean, on the fly, the Tigers aren't going to play down the stretch an SEC hybrid schedule.
I have always sort of, I don't know what the right description. I don't know the right way to describe this. Like I've always found complaining about whether it's fans complaining about their team's conference schedule or other national media types, I guess lamenting the fact that when they're going down their pros and cons of a certain team's resume, and they're holding against them the fact that, just for example, we're talking about Memphis. They're gonna hold against Memphis the fact that they play in the American. Well, that's not necessarily Memphis's fault that every other team in the in their conference is terrible.
Right. They're not supposed to get bad to make them look good. And would leave tomorrow if they had the opportunity.
Yeah, they have to play these teams. They have no choice. So anyway, it's always something I have found a bit odd. But as far as what you were saying, what is there to feel bad about with this team in this program right now? Yeah, I mean, the fact that, they've won, 8 out of their last 9? They've won 4 in a row, 8 out of the last 9. They're 17-4. They're top 20 in the country. They're, looking at a 4 or 5 seed. And, you can certainly nitpick. There are things to nitpick. Not right now necessarily, because you beat UAB by 23 over the weekend, and you look good doing it. And last night, even though it was nip and tuck for a while, you could say, 14 minutes into the game, they had 7 turnovers, but then you can turn around and say, over the last 26 minutes, they only had 4 turnovers. I looked that up today. That was nuts. 7 turnovers in the first 14 minutes of the game, and then only 4 over the last 26 minutes of the game. Credit where it's due. Fantastic job by Memphis to get that fixed. Other thing about last night that I took away: how about 0 free throws for either team in the entire first half? And the first free throw attempt of the game was 17 and a half minutes left in the game. I don't know that I've ever seen that before.
It's a weird voodoo town.
Sure is.
Right. The voodoo at work.
That's right. Jason, between Dan Hurley, maybe you could throw Andy Kennedy in there, certainly animated last year, and Ron Hunter, you have seen the animated coaches this year. At times last night, it felt like Ron Hunter was in the middle of the court yelling at his players in the middle of play.
Makes Bruce Pearl look sedate.
That's right.
And it's not the first time like that.
No.
What I think about that is, like it or not, there are certain things about certain coaches or certain teams that the referees just seem to all agree to look the other way on. Kelvin Sampson and the way his team plays defense, so physical and they just don't get the same whistle that everybody else gets. They just don't. They play some of the most physical, bruising, football style basketball, and yet you just don't see that. They don't foul out hardly ever, any of those players. And Ron Hunter is constantly on the court, and sometimes, multiple feet inside the boundary line. And there was a time last night where he almost got bumped or almost bumped PJ Haggerty.
Yeah, obstructed.
Yeah,
Haggerty.
and I don't get it. I don't understand how he gets away with it. But to your point, Brian, there are some on this schedule that Penny Hardaway, we all talked about how this schedule was so. It was such a strong schedule, non-conference schedule, and such it's a great job by Penny Hardaway schedule, putting this schedule together. Very few people talked about all the characters, the cast of characters that and the personalities from the opposing coaches that are on this that are on Penny's schedule. I mean, you even got not Bruce. You did mention Bruce Pearl. He's on the schedule. Tom Izzo.
Chris Beard.
Tom Izzo. You had who's that?
Beard at Ole Miss.
Oh yes, Chris Beard. You had Tom Izzo down in Maui, scoffing at a reporter for asking the question about like rest.
Yeah.
Like somebody asked him about, like, do you think you're playing so and so too many minutes or something like that? And he just in 2024, late 2024, you have Tom Izzo being like, no, rest is overrated. These are kids. They can handle it. Next question.
I said that earlier, didn't I, Brian?
Yeah, you did.
And especially when we get into these tournaments and we even have longer timeouts, the Penny rotation, except for injury and fouling out, just having these 6, 7, 8 guys to count on, I like it.
Oh, I do too. And I think that, honestly, might be one of the biggest, reasons why things are going the way they are going so far this season is the fact that he really seems to have bought into scaling things back, really establishing a firm rotation to the point where this is now 3 games in a row where one of his backup guards has been a healthy scratch, a healthy DNP. Last night, Baraka Okoji did not play, and he's fine, and he's healthy. I asked after the game, I was like, "Is there anything wrong with Baraka?" And Penny was like, "No, there's something wrong with me. I got to play Baraka more." And then the game before that, Dante Harris, completely healthy, did not play. So yeah, Penny seems to have finally embraced the shortened rotation, and I mean, again, it's working.
And it makes for a lot less noise, like after last night when you get to the hotel in Houston on Saturday and you're in the lobby, and it makes for a lot less noise for a family member to go over to one of the staffers or even to coach himself and go, mine only played 6 minutes the other night and only got 4 shots.
Oh, yeah. Like when you're 17-4, you're 7-1, you're sitting in first place in the American, and I mean, like, I hate to put it like this or to go there, but these guys are all getting paid now, so it's not like the one thing that a player goes to a school for anymore is playing time. Yeah. And then when they don't get their playing time, people start to really grumble. So yeah, like you're winning and you're getting paid. So, yeah, you may not be playing as many minutes right now, but things could be a lot worse. And so, yeah, there probably isn't as much outside noise being directed at toward the program and the coaches when this player or that player isn't quite getting the minutes that they may have necessarily thought they were going to get. Things are working, things are clicking, and honestly, there's 10 games left. I'm starting to wonder, can they run the table? Yeah. I mean, we're getting to the point where that is more and more within reach with each passing game. And if that happens, I wonder what we're going to be talking about here in a few weeks.
Yeah, it's a good observation. We were talking about it earlier. I mean, the way the schedule kind of lines up, I don't think that'd be out of the question.
30 and 4, didn't I, Brian?
Yeah, you absolutely did. Jason, you mentioned Dante playing last night, not playing the game before, and really Dante even last night didn't get a ton of run, only about 6 minutes or so. Brock Okoji not playing. I know we talked about it earlier this week off air about Dante not playing over the weekend. We had Matt Infield on earlier in the week, and I kind of asked him about Dante not playing. Now Okoji Koji not playing. And Matt Infield made the observation of, those two guys are very similar in what they do, their role, obviously position, and that maybe this is just a Penny Hardaway, tough to play both of them, matchup style, hot hand, pick or choose one or the other per game. Is that what you kind of feel between these two guys?
I do think that is a valid point. Mm-hmm. Like the only thing that makes me pause about that is it's been within the last week to 10 days where Penny said that, like, when they got Dante Harris, their whole one of their primary plans that they had was to play the two of them together, despite their similarities. He was like, we would like to see more of those two on the floor at the same time because they are so intense defensively. They are so, like, if there's ever a time where, you remember, when there was Alex Lomax and Tyler Harris and Lester Quinones, and Penny could just throw guy after guy after guy on the floor, and they were locked down, pick you up 94 feet, just in your face guys. He's got that with Dante Harris and Baraka Koji. Like, he can put those two out there, and if he needs to string together, 4, 5, 6. Like, if he feels like he needs 4, 5, 6 or more stops in a row, that's probably your best chance. Is throw those two guys out there, maybe with Tyrese Hunter, maybe with Moussa Cisse, and really, really Nick Jourdain, and really, really lock things down defensively. He can do it. It just, he seemed last night when we talked to him after the game, he seemed almost remorseful that he has been doing things the way he's been doing things with those two guys, like, again, alternating nights off, basically. And then the one who is playing really isn't playing that many minutes. But the thing about that is, it's hard when P.J. Carter is demanding more playing time with his play. There's only so many minutes to go around.
Yeah. Last thing for you real quick, Jason. I don't remember the exact quote from Penny Hardaway, but after that Wichita State game, when the Tigers had 22 turnovers, Penny Hardaway, speaking to y'all, said, things are going to change. We're going to do things differently. And then you look up UAB, only 3 turnovers in the first half, 13 turnovers total. Last night, 11 turnovers in that game. Turnovers are starting to go down over these last 2 games since Penny Hardaway made that statement. What have you seen different over these last 2 games?
Dane Danger, for one. Yeah. Like, they've got a clear and focused game plan, and that is to get the ball inside to Dane Danger when he's one-on-one or if he's open, and then if they collapse on him, if they send an extra defender or two, then he will kick it out to Colby Rogers or PJ Haggerty or PJ Carter, and if they collapse on him, there's somebody's going to be open somewhere, and I think that the players have accepted that as the priority on offense. Like, they're not trying to play outside of that, and I think that was what was getting them before, is they were trying to improvise too much. They were trying too hard to just do whatever they wanted out there, as opposed to following the marching orders. And so, to me, what it is there's a very, very clear blueprint for what Penny Hardaway wants, and they're actually following it. And it's working. I mean, it's probably a little bit less consistent than you want it, because, like you said, 3 turnovers in the first half, 10 in the second half against UAB. Last night it was 7 and then 4. So, you'd like to sort of space those out a little bit more evenly, probably, to prevent those dramatic swings. But yeah, I mean, like that's what I see, and if it continues, like that was really the only thing that I felt like was holding this team back.
Yeah.
So if you have nothing holding you back, well,
look out.
It could get pretty fun.
That's right. They've definitely looked good over these last 2 games. Jason, as always, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll do this again next week.
All right. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Jason. Be safe this weekend. Jason Munn's with us every Friday to talk Tiger basketball, and I promise you, it's a lot better to talk this attitude and this atmosphere than a year ago.
1,000%.
Certainly even a little bit later than 1 year. This makes it a lot more fun. And Jason, look, he's got to do his job and write the story however the story falls out. It's more fun for him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That doesn't mean cheering. He's not. He wouldn't.
No.
But
nobody wants
it's
to
better.
write about losses. Nobody wants to talk about losses.
And
it's a lot
chemistry
better.
discontent.
Oh, man, yeah. No, this team is...
That's tough.
This team has a ton of chemistry.
Because that family member out of love that's going to approach the coach about more shots, he's also going to approach you about why are you writing about the chemistry stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and so, yeah, it makes his life a
He
lot
or she.
easier. Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
some very involved moms, too.
Absolutely.
We talk Tiger basketball every Friday with Jason Munns. It's presented by Jim's Place Grill. Over 100 years of charcoal grill steaks, over 100 years of celebration and family time and lasting great memories. The Terrace family with their touch for our community. With the recipes that date back to the beginning in downtown, it's not out of a cookbook. They have it all down to now in Collierville at the railroad tracks at Poplar and Houston Levee. Online at jimsplacegrill.com. Don't forget the E in grill, and don't forget those gift cards at Jim's Place Grill. Every steak grilled perfectly over an open flame. Come to Jim's Place and taste and see and feel the difference. The lunch hours Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Dinner hours Monday through Saturday, 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Since 1921, a Memphis staple, a landmark, hard work, values, and a dedication to their valuable diners. The Terrace family, they've created that memorable dining experience. The lunch menu, the staples like the shrimp cocktail, the crab cakes, the souffle ma, and those salad dressings, all homemade. And at dinner, the calamari, the soups, the seafood, and the steaks that made Jim's Place famous. Fillets, ribeyes, and strips, and that great bar area that I guarantee you fun's being had right now, and you can be a part of it all weekend long at Jim's Place Grill in Collierville.
So we don't have a line, obviously, out yet for Sunday's game. We'll do Tiger Bankroll off air. But just looking at what Kim Pom says, Kim Pom right now has Memphis beating Rice by 11 points on the road. So that would make me think that line could be somewhere around that 10, 11, 12 points. So I would say a pretty favorable line for the Tigers.
I can tell you now, mine, if it's anything up to about 8 or 9, I can tell you now, 100 on the Tigers on Sunday. I'm not backing off of them.
You're going to keep going big. I love it. I love when I was all in on backing the Tigers. They wanted to lose, not cover 5 straight games. And now when you want to hop on the Tigers, they're going to go on a roll and start covering. It's just my luck this year. So.
Well, you and the Alumni Association already irritated at you.
Well, why's that?
Just over some of your picking.
Well, that's true in the past. But, hey, 5 straight conference play. I'm backing the Tigers every game out, and they don't want to cover for me.
And coming up next, we'll see if the Alumni Association is mad at you over that group of 5 bid.
Yes, we absolutely will. We're going to get to that in just a minute. Before we get to this break, let me remind you about our 5 o'clock sponsor. They're with us each and every afternoon. It's Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City. Jaguar Bluff City has been the premier Jaguar dealership for the Memphis area since 1984, and their talented team is ready to help you find your next perfect vehicle at unbeatable rates. Swing by Jaguar Land Rover Bluff City today and check out the new 2025 models like the 2025 Range Rover Sport, the 2025 Range Rover Velar, and the 2025 Defender. Test drive the Range Rover Sport where luxury meets performance. It's a perfect mix of style, performance, and versatility with options ranging from 360 horsepower up to 600 $135. It's also available as a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle with $7,500 federal tax credit when leased with approved credit. Take a look at the Range Rover Velar, powered by mild hybrid technology and enhanced with the latest well-being features and fully connected entertainment system. The Range Rover Velar is the ultimate luxury compact crossover. Purchase yours today and get special 4.4% for 72 months financing available with approved credit. Don't forget about the Defender, available in multiple models to fit your needs. The Defender is built for the modern explorer, and Jaguar Bluff City is offering special interest rates for 60 and 72 months on various models. Give them a call, 877-259-6169. Go online to jaguarbluffcity.com. But please get out there and test drive these vehicles. 6335 Wheel Cove, just off of Quince for Bluff City Jaguar. Well, let's get to another break, and when we come back, it's never too early to start making predictions for the college football season. When we return, we'll make our way too early college football playoff predictions. We'll get to our bracket. We'll go through, and I guess we'll crown the 2025 national champion in college football. We'll do that next on Sports Time.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director of Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement.
Wrapping up that wreck we had.
Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill. With 60 wing flavors and 7 heat indexes, do you have what it takes to turn the heat on your wings up to insanity? East Coast Wings and Grill is family friendly with a large variety menu to satisfy the whole bunch. Sign up today for the loyalty program and taste the rewards. For every dollar you spend, you collect a point. Earn 100 points and receive a $5 reward. Next to Lowe's on Highway 64 in Marlin, come try America's best wings at East Coast Wings and Grill.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home in Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342.
There's no place like home, Town Village.
If wedding bells are in your future, you need an unforgettable engagement ring from a jeweler you can trust. And that's been James Gaddis Jewelers for over 60 years. With a huge selection and the best prices, James Gaddis is a master jeweler and diamondologist. Beautiful jewelry from James Gaddis is always the right choice. Choose from rings to earrings, necklaces to bracelets, and gemstones to watches. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar, online at GaddisJewelers.com and Instagram at Gaddis Jewelers. Say I do at James Gaddis Jewelers. Sports 56 traffic.
Good afternoon. Wrapping up that wreck we had earlier, this car just demolished this guardrail on 240 westbound right at Mill Branch. Yes, it's still heavy 240 east. Some of that traffic getting onto Billmore Parkway, continuing outbound towards Collierville. It's building by the minute over here with more volume on 40 east from Sycamore View Road out past Germantown Parkway as you continue out into Fayette County. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your Valentine's Day headquarters. Go see them this weekend at Weimer's Jewelry. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Welcome back into Sports Time. Bryant and Brett with you as we got about 30 minutes left in today's show. And, man, really never too early to start predicting college football. And today,
This may approach it.
This may approach it. I don't even know how many ways need to be in front of this, but we're gonna do our way too early college football playoff predictions for this upcoming season, which I will tell you now, all just dart throws, wild guesses, because we still really don't know entirely. We know for the most part, we don't know entirely what these rosters will even look like yet.
Not even close.
No.
Not even close. I mean, some of these teams, well, I think of mine. I think I can name you the starting quarterback on every one of them. I think.
Yeah.
One or two get a little shaky, but I know what the rest of the team looks like. Mm-hmm. The next time we'll have this exercise, Friday, May 30th.
Book it.
And then we'll do it again around various media days, later July, and then Lamb's Book of Life. It goes down in August, right before the season. And last year, every one of these we did, I was about 6-6 in all of them, from way too early to the one that I thought was legit. So,
sure. Yeah.
That's how hit and miss it really is.
I guess so.
I'll go first.
All right.
And I'm titling this one "The Revenge of the SEC."
Okay. Only
3 last year. 6 in my first one. 6 SEC, 3 Big Ten, 1 ACC, 1 Big 12, and 1 Group of 5. Number 1 seed, champion of the SEC after they have defeated Ole Miss for the second time in the season in the SEC championship game, defeating them in Oxford and in Atlanta. Number 1, Georgia. Number 2, the champions of the Big Ten, Ohio State. Number 3, the champion of the ACC. And I don't know how they can be a dark horse team, but might be a little overlooked by some of the summertime love, Clemson, Dabo Swinney's team. Got in this year, I think make noise next year, this year, last year, whatever it is.
Wherever
the terminology, wherever we are. Number 4, almost this year, they seal it, and it's the hardest one to pick. The champion, the representative of the Big 12, Iowa State. Number 5, 11-1 regular season, but defeated in the SEC championship game. SEC runner-up, Ole Miss with Austin Simmons at quarterback. 6, Oregon, runner-up of the Big 12. 7, Penn State. They will be the summertime darling. 8, and this will be the last year that I just kind of reflexively do this for them.
Here we go.
Alabama. But this is it.
Okay.
We got to see more 9-4, don't we?
Yeah, we sure do.
Number 9, Tennessee. You're going to love my matchups in playoffs.
Okay.
8 and 9, that tells you.
This, yeah.
10, LSU.
Okay.
Brian Kelly, he watched Notre Dame. He's got to be in it this year, or he'll be watching in retirement.
Right.
11, Texas with Arch Manning way down there at 11.
Wow.
And number 12, I'm running it back. I don't know who their quarterback's going to be, but I trust that program, and I like the schedule. And, yes, this means a win in September over Arkansas like it was a win last year in September at FSU, the Memphis Tigers. So that'd be 12 Memphis going to 5 Ole Miss for the playoffs. 11 Texas playing at 6 Oregon. 10 LSU playing at 7 Penn State. Number 9 UT going to Bama on the 3rd Saturday of December after they meet regular season in Tuscaloosa. They play twice next year. And then the winners from that, 5 Ole Miss, they win. They play number 4 Iowa State on the Friday night game, New Year's Eve in the Cotton Bowl. 6 Oregon against Clemson in the Orange Bowl. That means Oregon beats Texas. Penn State, number 7. That means they beat LSU, playing number 2 Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. Number 8 Bama, after beating Tennessee both times in 2025, they play number 1 Georgia in the Sugar Bowl, and for Georgia, I hope it's a lot better Sugar Bowl experience than Kirby Smart had to go through this year with his dad
really
and everything.
bad.
And with everything. Next round, Final Four, Peach Bowl. 5, Ole Miss loses for the 3rd time to Georgia, regular season, SEC championship game, and in the national semis. Number 3, Clemson, They lose to number 2 Penn State. What's new? 1 versus 2, Ohio State and Georgia. The game will be in Miami, but not the Orange Bowl. They meet for the national championship with Ohio State going back-to-back.
Wow. Okay. I like that a lot. All right. I'll start with mine. I'll be honest, Brett, our top 3, the exact same. Number 1 for me, Georgia. Number 2, Ohio State. Number 3, Clemson, champions of all their conferences. Number 4 for me, the winner of the Big 12 would be a big bounce back from last year, and we know was filled with injuries. I'm going to take a flyer on Utah, the Utes. I think that they could bounce back. Defense, you always figure Utah's going to have a really good defense.
Probably.
Say that again, Brett. We kind of lost you there for a second.
Probably be last dance for Kyle Whittingham, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it feels like it. Maybe that last hurrah. I think, maybe that defense, you have a good confidence that they're always going to be good. But then on the offensive side, Devin Dampier, who I was really high on last year, he comes in, maybe gives them an extra element with what he can do with both his arm and his leg. So I go Utah, number 4. 5 for me, Texas. I think the Horns. Everyone's telling me Arch Manning is going to be unbelievable. I mean, right now, he's got the best
favorite
odds for Heisman. If he's that good, then he's got to be either winning or in the SEC championship
He's
game.
no sophomore.
No. I mean, he has been around, and so I think that he gets them to number 5 seed. Number 6 for me, I'm going to go with Penn State. 7, I'll go Oregon. 8, Notre Dame. 9, LSU. 10, Alabama. 11, Tennessee. And number 12, I'm also going to go with the Memphis Tigers. I'll put them in there.
Way to go.
And here's the thing, because I wanted to go back and look, what is Boise State going to look like in terms of their schedule? That's kind of what I was basing this off of, more schedule than roster. And listen to the schedule, this non-conference schedule for Boise State. They start the season on the road at USF. USF, we know they bring in talented guys. They're known for the recruiting classes in the transfer portal. Byron Brown, he returns as the starting quarterback for USF. Maybe if USF can have some magic, Boise State trying to figure out life after all of the success last year and obviously losing a great piece at the running back position, maybe USF can get them at home. A couple weeks later, they get App State. You figure App State usually a feisty team. And then on the road at Notre Dame, good possibility that before they really even get into the meat of their conference slate, they could have 1, maybe even 2 losses. And for the Tigers, they kind of catch a break. Tulane at home, Navy at home, USF at home. Favorable schedule for the Tigers this year.
And Boise not having Ashton Shinty to run the clock out at the end of the game. Kind of, he was a one-man, 4-minute offense.
Oh, man. I mean, the game plan this year was snap the ball, hand it off to Ginty, and now next year
he wasn't going to fumble.
Yeah, and they're going to have to figure out life without him next year, and that can maybe take some time. So I'll give Memphis the edge right now over Boise State. So that makes the matchups. And I went for a couple storylines in here. 12 versus 5, Memphis on the road against Texas. It was the one I was pushing for last year a lot. I'm going to push for it again this year. I would love that matchup, seeing Memphis on the road against Texas. 9, LSU at 8, Notre Dame. What a matchup that would be. Brian Kelly going back to Notre Dame for a 9-8 matchup would be a lot of fun. I have Texas winning that first game. I have Notre Dame beating LSU. 11, Tennessee at 6, Penn State. Give me Tennessee in that matchup. And then 10, Alabama at 7, Oregon. I'll take the Ducks. Give me Oregon in that one. That advances us to the quarterfinals. 5, Texas versus 4, Utah. I'll take Texas to win that one. 8, Notre Dame versus number 1, Georgia. Georgia wins. 11, Tennessee versus 3, Clemson. Give me Clemson. And then 7, Oregon versus 2, Ohio State, a matchup that we saw this year in the playoffs. This year it was all Ohio State. Next year it's going to be all Oregon. I'll take the Ducks in that one. That makes my semifinals 5, Texas versus 1, Georgia. Give me the Horns. And then 3, Clemson versus 7, Oregon. Give me Clemson for a national championship game. Texas versus Clemson. Brett, the Horns, they're back. Texas
Horns
finally gets that national championship.
So if they do that, Arch is probably on his way to the first Manning Heisman Trophy.
Absolutely. I
I
think would be right there in the mix, yeah.
I'd be fine with
Yeah.
that. That would be a lot of fun. Did you see Matt Berry's tweet today, his post-Senior Bowl thoughts? One,
I did not.
Jackson Dart should be in the discussion as a top overall quarterback.
Wow.
Two, the quarterback depth in this draft will have value. See Shuck and Seth Hennigan.
Ooh, okay. I love that.
Three, the running back group is a gold mine this year with Genty at the top of that.
Yeah.
Number 4, Ole Miss was the most talented team in the SEC.
Yeah. We talked about it so much last year, Brett.
Will be next year, too.
Yeah, no, I mean, from what you saw this year of Austin Simmons getting in there, I mean, that one throw he had when he had to come in with
Save the day against Georgia.
Save the day, yeah, against Georgia. I'm excited to see what he can do as the guy in that offense.
In the week before, it was set in the fourth quarter, took Dart out after he got to the record against Arkansas.
Yeah.
Arkansas fans still whining about Ole Miss ran it up. No, they didn't. They ran the offense because you didn't know when they might need Austin Simmons.
Right.
Lo and behold, you needed him the next week to save the game. That's why they were still throwing. It wasn't anybody.
No.
I mean, Lane Kiffin, like everybody else, loved Sam Pittman. He wasn't trying to humiliate anybody. He was trying to get his team better.
That's right, yeah. And you're right, needed him the very next week. I'm really excited next Tuesday when Bo Marchant joins us because from everything I'm seeing, Seth Hennigan has had a heck of a week down in Mobile, and so I'm interested to see what Bo saw from him.
I wonder what round potentially.
Yeah, and with this big week, and then obviously the game this week, and it will be fun to watch him and see him in action. And yeah, I mean we could be talking about Seth Hennigan and where he could be going in the draft, and that'd be awesome to see another Tiger get drafted. Obviously Paxton Lynch, but it would definitely be cool to see Seth Hennigan get his name called in the NFL draft. But a fun exercise today. I'm sure this will change a lot the next time we do it. You had a title for yours. My title for mine was the guess. It's just it's an absolute guess at this point.
Both of us though, neither one of us had the U.
Yeah, how about that? And obviously Carson Beck, their big pickup
And
in
I
the
think-
transfer portal.
I think both of us. This is the last reflexive Alabama.
Feels like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for the U, if you couldn't do it with Cam Ward last year, I don't know if I trust
Can't be done.
Carson Beck to be that much better. So no, this is gonna be fun to keep up with. And next time we'll do a way too early prediction for the college football playoffs. Let's get to our final break of the day, and when we return, we'll wrap up today's show with Crunch Time.
Shop, compare, and save from hundreds of experts to turn your dream home into a reality. We have everything to help you remodel, refresh, and beautify your home inside and out. So come on out to the home show of the Mid-South, January 31st through February 2nd at the Amber Center. You'll find special show pricing on kitchens, baths, patios, and landscaping, flooring, cabinets, windows, roofing. It's all at the home show of the Mid-South, January 31st through February 2nd at the Amber Center. Visit MemphisHomeShow.com. That's MemphisHomeShow.com.
Hi, this is Troy Five-Ash, owner of Five-Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five-Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five-Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five-Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
Calling Alan Carrot here with pro tight end Dallas Goedert to share his journey with plaque psoriasis and how he tackles his symptoms with Otezla apremilast.
Yeah, being a football player with plaque psoriasis can be challenging. My skin gets flaky and itchy, so my doctor told me about a pill, Otezla. It works from the inside out.
Otezla is a prescription medicine used to treat adult patients with plaque psoriasis for whom phototherapy or systemic therapy is appropriate. Otezla can help you get clearer skin after just 4 months. Dallas is an Otezla patient that has been compensated for his time. Don't use Otezla if you're allergic to it. Get medical help right away if you have trouble breathing or swallowing, swelling of the face, lips, tongue, throat, or arms, severe diarrhea, nausea, or vomiting, depression, suicidal thoughts, or weight loss can happen. Tell your doctor if any of these occur and if you have a history of depression or suicidal thoughts.
Talking to my doctor about a pill was a total game changer.
If you're struggling with plaque psoriasis, talk to your doctor about Otezla. Visit Otezla.com for more information or call 1-844-4-OTEZLA for prescribing info about cost, and more.
Mid-South, it's time for a new year and a new ride from Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Get 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage, a perfect compact hatchback for commutes, getaways, and just about everything else for $299 a month. Or buy Mirage for $18,410, gets 43 mpg highway. Or take your pick from 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid PHEV, named 2025 Family Green Car of the Year for 3 straight years. Or 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander, now just $399 a month. Plus, get peace of mind with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Get to Gossett Mitsubishi today to start your year off right. 1870 Covington Pike and 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
Military rebate Mirage RHO 15630 MSRP 18410 PHEV RZO 66681 MSRP 42750 Outlander RZO 88655 MSRP 32770 includes all rebates and incentives. PF 695 excludes tax, title, and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only. Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Vargas. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous? Brett, after 76 years, we've decided to expand our product line. Anyone who's tasted our ribs is familiar with our vinegar base. It's now available in a 32-ounce jar. It's so good to base or marinate all meats. I even put a little bit on turnip greens. Something we've been using at the restaurant or in our house has been the Greek seasoning. My father was a cook, but my mother was a chef. And she was the one that put Greek seasoning on everything from a Mediterranean diet or steak. My mom used it on soup, salad, veggies, fish, any meat. It's a great seasoning and a flavor enhancer. My brother Nick figured out salt and pepper is more than just McCormick's and Morton's. He's come up with the perfect blend we use to coat our shoulders and our brisket, and he used to make it for his friends as Christmas gifts, and they loved it. All these products are available at Rendezvous or online for shipping as gifts and in many grocery stores. And if they're not in your favorite grocery store, ask your grocer to stock it. A beloved family affair is still going strong since 1948. Rendezvous.
This is pretty cool, and we're just getting started, so.
Spanning the globe. Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! This is for all the biggest crunch time.
You are looking live. In your life have you seen anything like that? Goodbye! Hello, Haskins.
It's obviously crunch time.
Hammer, nail, coffin. This baby is over.
Well, Brett, what I learned today is that the Tigers won another game last night in conference play, beating Tulane. And earlier today, Evan Miyakawa, who runs the site evanmia.com, put out a graph that was team resumes win quality versus loss quality. And basically, you have on the x-axis your loss quality, how good or bad some of your losses were, and on the y-axis...
I was told there would be no algebra involved.
Well, here we are, Brett. Only a couple minutes, though, so do not fear. But on the y-axis, you have win quality. They have, obviously, the better top right you are is the better team you are. Auburn and Alabama really alone up there. But there is a box that he has highlighted that is called Elite Wins. Top 15 in win quality, but outside of the top 15 in loss quality. So great wins, not terrible losses, but not the elite level of not, losing to nobody that Auburn and Alabama are in. Listen to this group that Memphis is a part of, because I think it is a really, really good group. It's Memphis, Oregon, Purdue, Texas A&M, Kentucky, Louisville, and Kansas. Those are some pretty good teams that are playing good ball right now. And when you look at this graph, outside of Auburn, Alabama, Marquette, and Duke, Memphis in a really great position in terms of the quality of wins they have this season.
I'll say it for the zillionth time. The loss to Arkansas State was not that bad.
No.
We may need the tournament to prove it with Coach Hodgson's team. What I learned may be the best Grizzlies win of the year. And I know 3-1 against Houston, but 3 of the 4 really close matchups against the Rockets. Very narrow games. Bring on that second-round matchup in May. First round versus our old buddies, the Clippers. Second round against Houston. That would be some towel waving and trick whooping, wouldn't it?
It sure would be. It'd be a lot of fun. What I could have done without today, last night, Anthony Landphere, the Tigers' tight end who had exhausted his college eligibility, had declared for the NFL draft, but after the Diego Pavia ruling that all JUCO players had extra eligibility, Anthony Landphere announced that he would be coming back to the University of Memphis, but last night he put out on social media, "I've been informed that I have exhausted all of my college eligibility and I will not receive an additional year of eligibility for playing in junior college. With that being said, I will be declaring for the 2025 NFL draft. Thank you for everything, Memphis." Which is very weird.
He makes the team.
I think so. He is a really good tight end. So I was curious. I was reading the story that was over on the Commercial Appeal. Our friend Jonah Dillon published this last night, that the ruling, the NCAA said blanket waiver for JUCO guys, but it's within 5 years. So basically, if you started from 2020 to now, you got that extra year. That's where Landphere's situation comes into play, because he started college in 2019, but redshirted that 2019 season, so didn't play, but because of this ruling, he's exhausted his eligibility, so now Tigers will have a new tight end next year.
Who knew that you could really run out of eligibility?
It is crazy trying to keep up with it all.
Could have done without GIST when you think the AAC can't get worse. Take a look at that postseason basketball tournament bracket. All 13 go to the tournament, but 12 plays 13 on Wednesday in the pit in Denton.
It's crazy. That was
AAC goes out of its way to be Bush League.
Well, they certainly find new ways to surprise you. That was news to me when you brought that up earlier. But
I stumbled into it today, printing the bracket.
That's crazy. That is insane. I mean, you're just looking at the bracket and you go, wait a minute. Something on here is not like the rest. That is insane. Where are you beaming?
Number 1 Auburn in Oxford tomorrow against Ole Miss. Biggest game in the Pavilion's history. Secondary tickets are outrageous. Very high. 1 o'clock game. All the action right here, starting with pregame at 12:30 tomorrow.
Yeah, beam me just in front of the television tomorrow. I mean, the college basketball is going to be electric tomorrow from really start to finish.
I'm going to check out some Senior Bowl, too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
a little Pebble Beach.
Sure.
Any Pebble Beach this weekend?
Yeah, I've been watching Pebble Beach today, so I'll definitely tune in a little bit. But you look at some of these matchups, college basketball, Florida, Tennessee. I mean, it's going to be a really good day of basketball.
And the return of the prodigal Cal to Big Blue Nation.
Yeah, no, that's going to be – I don't think it's going to go in his favor, but it is going to be fun to watch that reception when he takes the floor at Rupp. Going to be a really fun weekend with everything going on, like Brett mentioned. The basketball, the Senior Bowl, golf's getting back in the mix. Enjoy the weekend. That's all the time we have. We'll talk to you again Monday afternoon.
Consumer example, stock number RZ307440, MSRP 82085, dealer discount 7425, purchase allowance 2750, sale price 71910, expires 3325.
Step up your wings game at East Coast Wings and Grill with 60 wing flavors and 7